We're here. People can see us.
Yo, yo!
It's us. We're here. Why can't I talk in Armored Sports? I
What
want
is
to
up?
tell people
What is
that we're
up?
live. I'm not gonna do it.
All one person in the chat because the other person is me.
Oh, cool. Watch it. Watch. Should not actually be there. It's just you. It's
It's
just
just
you.
me. It's just people giving free views. I was talking. Ben and I did a stream with Paul the other day, and we were like, we just have to create a script that creates Google accounts, like
Yep.
Boohurt YouTube
Yep.
fan 1,
Yep.
Boohurt YouTube fan 2, and it just goes and it just watches all of our shit.
Yep. I'm in. Let's do it. We're
All
gonna
right,
become. We're gonna become the Russian spammers of Boohurt.
let's do it.
Oh man.
All right, I'm shilling for you right now.
Oh nice. Do it. Chill. I don't. Bet no one's gonna tune in. Land won't even show up because he knows I'm just gonna bitch the whole time. That asshole.
Yeah, I know that triggered you, eh?
Ah,
So
so
talk to me.
hard.
So why did that trigger you? If you're always bitching about AC, right? Or
For
specifically you and Mikey, because you and Mikey would get on the whole like we need orc armor, everybody
all
has
right,
to dress like
all right.
elves and wizards.
Let me pause you for a second. So this is one of the things that bothers me is that no one has actually ever said they wanted orc armor. It's a response from people who say that AC is required. That if we don't
Hmm.
have it, people will go orc armor. And then my response is, who gives a fuck? Like, I don't actually want orc armor, but if I did, why do you care? Like, let people do what they want. I know I just said I'm a negative person and people shouldn't have fun, but like,
Now you're like positive individual liberty. You let people identify as whatever they want.
yeah, man. Like people should be able to dress in orc armor as long as it's safe. I don't see any reason why a sport should care as long as it meets the safety aspects and the competitive aspects, right? So we were talking a lot about auto racing in there and about how like Formula One has specific requirements, but their requirements are all based on making people have the same competitive advantages.
Hmm.
NASCAR does the same thing by requiring everyone to have a stock car, right? It is a car off the lot, right? So like if that's what it was, like if people were like, you have to buy this basic armor set and then you can modify it however you want, I'm back in. If it's
I'm not
like,
opposed to that though. I'm not opposed to the idea
yeah,
of authorized kits, where it's
yeah,
like these 5 kits or these 10 kits are like
right.
your
We've
like these are the configurations of armor that you're
yeah.
allowed, and like these are the kinds of like anachronisms that you're allowed, just in like very plain black and white. I'd be down.
Right. I'm
No
super
problems with that.
I'm super in for that. Like, particularly like if you do it by technical specifications, right? If you say the technical specification of this shoulder piece needs to meet this rounding, it needs to be this, it can be, this ratio of width to this ratio of height. Cool, I'm in.
Yeah, me
Also,
too.
like maybe don't say it's historical since like all you're basing your historical stuff is on like the shit that survived, so we don't even know how representative that is, but like that's another
Well, I mean,
argument.
I'm a big believer. I'm a big believer in the mix and match theory. I
Yeah.
don't know if you like the idea that like most people didn't have a consistent kit. So it's like the idea that like, most people like in terms of like the average person, right? Like average people would have weapons. Like most people would have spears and bows, especially in England and France. Most people would have spears and bows in their home already because of militia training, right?
Right.
And people would have some kind of protection, and in certain cases, right, like the army would provide you, or like the army would provide the militia with certain types of equipment. So like I'm a big believer that what we see in tapestries and paintings and described in a lot of texts, particularly like more literary texts and like some historical documentation, I don't think is necessarily representative of the average. So I mean, there's a lot to say there. Now, from their perspective, like I say that in terms of remaining consistent, I think their approach to requiring documentation makes sense. My problem is a problem that a couple of other people, I believe yourself included, have raised, which is that you put the onus on the fighter, right, to provide academic level resources to a committee of academics. Now, like guys like you and me who are prone to doing research and who are, academically and literary minded, like doing that shit to a certain degree,
Yeah,
right?
it's don't 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 include me
Or
in
have
this.
or have fewer issues doing that, like in the sense that you understand the research methodology necessary. It's
Yeah.
like it's a grind and it sucks, but you have like
Well,
you understand how you got to go about it,
yeah,
right?
yes
Versus
and
a dude
no.
who's not in that, who doesn't, you know what I mean? Like not
Yeah.
everybody has that same kind of ability to do research and find sources and understand how peer reviews work and shit. And like, like not everybody's just set up to do that. So you're requiring somebody to have an academic understanding of history and paleography and armor composition and shit that it's very difficult to obtain without an academic background.
Yeah, I think that's a huge issue of it. And like that might be the main. No, that's definitely not my main issue. It's one of the biggest flaws with the process, though, and particularly that there isn't like good training on how to do it, right? Because like if I find a bunch of manuscripts that I say match, and then they go, no, we don't think so. Like there's no good objective criteria of why a manuscript should or shouldn't get bounced. So like, but most of us don't have access to artifacts. So like most of us can't go to a museum collection. Like, and if we can, it's just what they have on display. We definitely don't have access to like what's in the back of the museum that like isn't
The
so.
actual finds that
Yeah.
they do research studies on
So
that we don't get to see.
most of us have to do our research via manuscripts, right? Like that's because we can't spend time just going through texts. And most of us definitely can't translate fucking texts, so we would have to go through translated ones anyways. And like, what constitutes acceptable manuscripts and what doesn't
They
is
provided a link to the sources. Like you can use these sources in order to source your armor, for example. Like if you want a 14th century Western kit, these are the appropriate sources from these regions or some shit, because they definitely have those resources already. If they have an authenticity committee,
sure.
then they have like a flip book where they could be like, oh, this dude wants to like is building a 14th century kit. All right, so these are all of the sources we have for these kinds of kits with these kinds of components, because they're able to shoot people down left,
Right,
right, and center. So
right.
they have that shit on quick draw. Give me
I,
that. Give me those
I was
resources.
gonna say if they have that information, which they supposedly do, right? Like why aren't they sharing it? Why don't we have access to it? Especially considering the you had a conversation with
Irene.
with Irene what's her role?
Irene is the head of PR and marketing for the HMBIA.
Right, and she was saying that one of HMBIA's goals is historical education. So if that's one of the
Correct.
goals, why aren't you sharing the
Well, she
educational
says
knowledge
she
that you
says
have?
she says like the goal of the AC, right? And it's one of the mission statements of the HMB is to like provide the correct cultural and historical context for what's going on, and through the vehicle of HMB educate people as to what the shit was. And like I had several responses to that, some of which like are tongue in cheek that I share with you and will meme about, and some of which are like more academically minded, right? Like,
Right.
it's like you could tell me like, oh, HMB is all about, there's a reconstruction element and it's about appreciating the culture, and when you wear the armor and you use the weapons, there's like a necessary association with culture and history that you have to understand and appreciate in order to like get the full experience and blah blah blah. And then I'm like, all Russians wear Western armor. Like what like
um,
it's like that all of your materials have to be plausible alternatives to what they could find. All
bro,
Russians wear titanium.
bro, here's a hot take while no one's fucking watching on this. AC is racist, right? So
AC is racist.
here's the hot take on this.
All
And
right, okay,
this
hold
is
on.
tongue in cheek.
I'm backing up a little bit. No, I'm ready. I'm listening. You got my
This
attention
is
now.
this is
AC racist.
this is a reach. This is a reach.
All
But
right,
like,
let's do it. Reach
there's
around.
I'm gonna reach around, baby. So AC is based on historical documented pieces that fit a certain safety requirement for a certain region and a certain set of times
Hmm.
for this sport, which means a bunch of people for the idea of basically a bunch of people getting to be in touch with what their ancestors did. Now that means if your ancestors didn't come from a certain area in Europe, you don't get to have that history and you don't get to have that heritage in the sport.
Disagree.
Well, also, even if you do have that, if like you were to trace it to an area where the armor that they wore doesn't fit the safety requirements, you can no longer have that heritage in this.
Chinese teams, Japanese teams.
Sure. But
So
that
okay,
they're but they're selling
Some of the
those
Chinese
Chinese.
guys wear like some very fantasy bullshit. Okay, we're all aware, but China's also brand new. But Team Japan, like the captain of Team Japan is wearing his grandfather's his
Sure.
grandfather's samurai armor
Right.
that he repurposed for Buhurt. That's
Because
actual armor.
samurai armor uh, is one of the few Western armors that would meet the safety
Eastern.
requirements. Eastern that would meet the safety requirements. But also most samurai armor would not. Um,
Right.
and like
So what would you do?
I'm not actually saying this is something that we should fix or that is necessarily. I just think that like the AC requirement of it, particularly if they at all talk about like, which they have dodged this bullet very well, celebrating heritage. Like at that point, you're walking into a very murky world, and like
Bro,
this is
if we had to
this
wear
is
the armor of our ancestors, like we're Jews. Our
we,
ancestors were like shirtless and ran around with
bro.
spears
No,
in the
they're
desert.
gold. Our ancestors had fucking gold pouches. That was our armor.
They did have gold bets. It's a
Also,
one buyback.
have
It's one
you
buyback.
have you done any research into like the history of Jewish chivalry
I have.
yeah, because there were some like
Well,
serious
awesome.
Jew knights,
Yep.
some serious Moor knights too. Um,
Yep.
so like yeah, this is very it's a glib idea, which like maybe we shouldn't be glib about racism, but like it's definitely
Well,
like, worth.
I don't think it's necessarily racist because they're specifically reenacting medieval Europe, Russia,
Except they
right?
aren't. But by allowing Japan, they aren't. Right? So that's the thing. Either they are,
So I think
and we
Japan
have
is an
to.
extension because Japan's Middle Age was later on in the timeline, right? Because Japan even now is just out of their Middle Ages, which is fucking phenomenal to think about. But you know, like 150 years ago, Japan was like they were fucking murdering each other in the streets with swords. Right? So it's like they're
Yeah.
just out of their Middle Ages within a couple of generations. You
Yeah.
know, so it's like if the idea is medieval, you could make a stretch for cultures that entered their Middle Ages, you know, at separate times but had relative
But
technology and shit, right? So it's like there's
no. So here's the
you could stretch it. You could. I'm not
here's the
justifying
thing.
it. I'm not
Here's the
saying
thing.
it isn't an inconsistency. It's
Yeah,
super
no, that's
inconsistent.
it's either we're doing. What's up, Mikey? China did have dope armor.
They
They
really
still
do
have,
with the
they
fucking
still have
all
dope
of
armor.
the long ass gown shit with the
Also, like
scales. I don't know
there
what
are
that
some.
shit is called, but it was so sick.
Yeah, there are some of those people who have some dope Western armor too. Like some of that team just looks slick. Like
Yo, half ton is dope, dude.
China's putting in some work.
They're dope.
They're probably my favorite national team right now, just because they like showed up and were
China?
like, yeah, in both leagues, even though they seem to be different people.
Yeah, they do seem to be different people.
Because always.
Yeah, but their facilities are incredible. You
No,
see the
they have to
pictures
be.
that
They
the
have to be getting.
thanks up?
Someone is working a government connection there. I swear,
Bro,
it has to.
they have the sickest setup. The sickest setup.
It's so good. Yeah. Huge middle finger to the AC, so they got my respect. See, I mean, that's the thing is like, either we are doing tournament, in which case, why aren't we doing tournament and like doing it in like trying to match that where we wouldn't have samurai coming and like, you know, people would be doing fantasy, but it would be Arthurian fantasy or like Greek fantasy, right? Um, like
Good. You make a bunch of good points. You
like
make a bunch of good points that it's
or
not consistent with their mission statement.
or let's say that we're not and we're just trying to be in historical-ish armor, in which case like there is an argument that by restricting it to a certain historical, we're cutting out other cultures with a rich history that might have some armor that like should be allowed. Like if I could find an Indian helm, for example, that had an open faceplate, but like, you know, or like an Indian helm that was a closed face, and I was Hindu.
I think they would if it was. I think they would
But
let
like,
you do it.
I bet I can't find Indian armor that fits.
No, but if you could, right? They could.
But that's
If you
my-
found something that was both historical from a period that's relevant in
This-
some kind
I
of a
mean,
way, or
this is my-
relative rather.
Yeah, mine is coming back to your mix and match point though. Like, and it's the whole idea of the Eastern kits where they wear Western legs.
Because well, I mean that's bad, but they at least wear the like the Mongol-y poofy pants.
Yeah,
over
to
them.
hide it.
So like they're wearing them, but at
Yeah.
least it's like to like so it's also a question, and this is something we broached in our last discussion on the subject. Who's the target audience? That's the real
I don't think
question.
we know. That's a good point, and I don't think anyone's
That's
figured
the
it
real
out.
question. Because so you got to look at it in a couple different ways, right? So if like who when you make an event, right? And like we can look at our pro fight event as like a very microcosmic kind of example, right? So it's like
Right.
when you make an event, who do you make the event for? Right? Like
You and
we're
me. You
making
made
our event for us, right? And then
it.
we're bringing other people into the thing because it's going to be more awesome. But like we're setting it up as much as possible for us, And it's like when you're a league, right? Who do you make your shit for? You make your shit for you. When you make a thing, right? You make the thing the way you want it to be because it's your vision. It's like this is what, build it and they will come kind of a thing. This is how I envision things going. So,
Right.
is it truly are you building it as a spectator sport like, "Oh, I got this great idea. Let's see if we can make it something that the people want and give the people what they want?" Or is it like I'm going to build my thing and popularize my vision and make the people like my vision?
Yeah.
It's
Well.
kind of like when a video game company, doesn't make the change the people wants, right? And then make changes that people don't want. And they're like, "No, this is what you think is fun.
Yeah.
We're going to tell you what's fun versus
Yeah.
we're going to ask you what's fun."
Which
So,
if you are a visionary like Steve Jobs works, but it feels like they're not. It feels like they're Palm, and they're.
that was a great example. That was a great example. It really
um,
was.
so yeah, I don't. Anyway, the real reason I got mad in the chat the other day, where like Land called out me and Mikey for only shitting on AC. He's like, I'm not gonna watch your stream because the two of you are just gonna shit on AC the whole time. Like that, the whole point of that for me is that like I don't shit on hate. Like I shit on C occasionally, like probably once an episode I do it, but like it's maybe 10 minutes out of my normal content, maybe. And it's just an aside. It's a meme, and like I get it. Maybe that's a dumb meme, but like whatever. It's one piece of the thing. So like, and then also to be like, I'm so mad that people are mad about this thing. When like that's the like people talk more about people being mad about AC than I think that people who are mad about the AC talk about the like how bad. Like I feel like I mean I don't know. Maybe I should go and
So it
count it
depends.
up. I just feel like people are constantly like coming at me and Mikey for being like, "How dare you hate on Eastern kids?" And it's like I mean
Well,
we
you're very
do, but like you hate on them.
when you're
You hate on
when you're very vocal, I mean, you're
sure.
going to inevitably attract like you're going to attract both like agreeing and dissenting voices.
Yeah,
So
but like
I've made this point before about the vocal minority in like the
in the
greater North
ACS.
American community,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
specifically the ACS, in the greater North American community, right? Because it's like Eastern kids are trash.
Trash. They are though. It's a good point.
I mean, for the sport they are. So
That's
if you're
why
talking
they wear
sources, like
Western kids.
their sources don't even have dudes with actual arms very often. It's like dudes with these like little stub arms, and they're like, haha, holding a bow with these little stubs. So it's like I'll give you that. They do look super cool though. Looking like a ninja is always cool. Um, come on, you can't diss looking like a ninja. It's like everybody wants to look like a ninja,
I want to look like a
but
Ninja Turtle.
oh my god,
That's
Ninja Turtle division. But fucking shredder armor, bro.
Shredder armor. That's the new
Orokusaki,
meta. It's the new meta.
dude. Oh my god, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has sick armor in it. It has sick armor in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like ultimately, I think it's a question of who the spectator is, and I don't think in Europe they complain about AC the way we complain. And I think that because to the Europeans there's an inextricable sense of like physical connection to the history because it's like it was your culture directly, right? Whereas for us, it isn't. So we're like, oh, what the fuck? This is bullshit. We don't give a fuck about this. We just want to fight. Like, I don't care. And then
Well,
these people are like, this is representative of like the struggles of my people, the development of my people, the accomplishment, except Russians, I guess, who are like, fuck our own culture. Let's go,
yeah.
reenact
And like
England's culture He's
Yeah, I
like
mean,
clearly superior.
you remember when they banned all of the Ukrainians' helmets, the big
So
uproar.
good. That was so good. It's
This
like
is
those
this.
moments for me. It's like sometimes I wonder if I'm a psychic vampire because that moment gave me so much like I like fed off that moment. I was like,
Uh,
"Oh my god, please more drama."
yeah.
Fucking people. Fucking
I'm literally
people.
related to the Mary the Queen of Scots AC. But like that was the thing though, right? Like I feel like Europeans they don't know that they bitch as loud, and I think that like there is definitely like this disconnect where like they're more into it, but like I think they bitch about the way the AC is run. West Coast, Best Coast, East Coast, Beast Coast. Let's go.
East Coast, Beast Coast. East Coast crushes West Coast. We
Right
just
now, 100%.
ah just just in general. Just in
In
general.
everything.
Just
In everything.
just in general. Just in life.
You know where earthquakes don't happen? Out here.
Uh,
um,
but
uh, so, but yeah, like I feel like there is still some. What's up, Julie? I feel like there is some real pushback out there too. It's just not as vocal, and I think that it's that idea of they agree with the need that they're more where you are, where they agree that there's the need for an AC. They just don't like some of the AC actions.
so I think so one point that you brought up recently that I thought was really good is that like there's some kind of a need for standardization. We've been playing around with this idea a lot and talking about different like variations of it, but I definitely think that there's like in some way we got to set like a bar because equipment definitely has an impact on performance, right? To some degree, like not only the configuration of your equipment but the type and shape of your equipment. And I think that eventually like it has to like Mikey has also brought this up like there's going to be like two kits or five kits and you buy a
Yeah,
kit and that's how it goes, right?
sure.
And
It's an
ultimately i
option.
think i think that's the best direction for the sport.
I
I think
maybe.
that's the like in terms of the competitiveness and the sportiness of the sport. I think that's the best direction in terms of personal um like personal like feeling of like I like my kit and my coolness of my shit and it's like I'm spending like 5 grand on stuff. I want it to look cool and represent me and like be like a thing I like for the sport that's not important, right? Because nobody gives a shit what the team jersey is when you try out for a pro team. That's not the reason that you're going to go in or not, right? You're going to be
Right.
like fuck, I want to like be on the team. But when you join like a sports ball team, you're not paying 5 grand for your kit.
Yeah, I mean,
You know.
yeah, you like if you like pick up biking or something, you definitely aesthetic comes into it because you are dropping 2 to 5 grand on something, but even there they have technical specs if you want to do a sport, and I think the problem is that we don't need historical specs, we need technical specs, and our historical specs should meet them. But since we're talking about specs, let's start looking at this thing.
Yes.
Start. We're gonna go point by point through
Beautiful.
this. Since
Beautiful transition.
I've literally never gone point by point through one of their documents.
Let's do it.
All right. So this document is the Historical Medieval Battle International Organization. Hereafter, wait, what? Wait a minute. How is it HMBIA if it's HMBIO? What? What?
Because it's supposed to be Historical Medieval Battle International Association.
Okay, this whole document is
It's
is
already
null and
done.
void. They
It's
have
already done.
it's talking about a
Point
different organization.
point zero, and they lost. Haven't even
um,
started. It's all bunk.
approved technical and authentic requirements for equipment used during historical medieval battlements. So, and this is, I just want it to be approved technical. I think that fixes all my problems if they just make it that. I have
Let's
no
go
idea.
through it.
Can people see the chat when it's this small? Remember,
Yeah, yeah.
running is illegal. Oh man, yeah. Like there's some rules in here that are written as poorly as the running is illegal rule. All right.
Yeah, that was fun.
So only offensive and defensive equipment that has existed, that has historical equivalence academically proven to exist during the period of 14, yeah,
That's
14th
14 to 17.
17th century. So the
No,
other day,
13th, really? I didn't know this specifically excludes 13th
that's
century.
I
Wow.
was gonna say
That's nice.
the other day
I'm kind of down with that.
I was talking about some guy talking to some guy who was like, I want to be a Viking. We were like, oh bro, that's not even possible. And
So,
then he was like, and then someone brought up the Varangian Guard and how they use Lamellar, and it was like, okay, you could do that, but you're still gonna have to do a hidden kit, or you're gonna have to do a Viking kit and hidden. And now this means
bro,
he
you
can't
wear a
even do
tabard
that.
anyway. Don't. What are you doing?
I'm
You wear a
like
tabard
this.
anyway.
Like I was honestly, I'm not saying we should let Vikings in, but like honestly, four armor is dope, and we already have samurai. So
Well, there are Vikings already. If you look at the team from Sweden, they have a couple of Varangian dudes there, and I've
perfect.
seen other guys rocking that. But I
Well,
find
so
that an
wait,
interesting
does
choice.
this kick them out? Because the
Yeah, for sure.
Varangians, because
12th
I bet
century.
those helmets are pre.
Varangian is 12th century. It's
Is
like
it?
1100. So
I think
so
it's
the Middle
at
Ages.
11 and 1200s.
So the Middle Ages is specifically like 1100 to like 1500, right? And it's like you have the High Middle Ages at the end of that portion, right? And it's like then that bleeds into the Italian and then European Renaissance in the 15th and 16th centuries respectively. So I find it really interesting that they're specifically saying 14 to 17, right? For a couple reasons. 14 is like very late in the Middle Ages. That
Super
cuts out
late.
a lot. That cuts out a lot of kits, a lot of constructions of different like configurations of brigadine, a lot of like I think everything from the Battle of Visby is cut out from that.
I
That's
thought
doesn't that
Visby.
annihilate everything?
I thought
Like isn't the
Visby's
discovery from
13. Well, so Visby I thought was like 1330s or something. But
I'm
here's
looking
the
it
thing.
up.
Visby, if I remember, was also they
1361, so that is 14th century.
yeah,
So
but they're using stuff that was like old. So like, does that count? Like because they're using stuff that was like 50, 60
very
years
old.
old because they
Yeah,
just
very old.
raided. So like, if that's your source, if your source is Visby, does that count? Because they're using fucking outdated equipment. It'd be like me using a fucking a Civil War rifle. I
Super
don't know.
frustrating. It's super frustrating because like now you have to just on that point alone you have to be prepared to argue your armor from a fine perspective, which is very difficult with the internet because the internet's the internet, and it's like
Exactly.
a library is already super sus. When you go into a library and you start looking at finds and shit, it's like it's super super sus.
Yeah.
Your best resort is to go to a museum, and
Also,
it's like we're in fucking Canada and the US. We don't have museums everywhere that have actual find exhibits like open all the time.
so yeah, for real. I would love that if they're going to say academically proven, they define what that means. Um,
Yeah, I brought that up with Irene because I was like, "Yo, wolf ribs are not academically proven to exist. There's only two sources. Both like one source is from the Bible, one source is from a painting, and neither of them look the same. So it's like, and it's like, where do the 5 bars come from? What the fuck is 5 bars? We've seen 3 bars. We've seen like 4 bars, I think, but where's 5 bars? And it's like like the look at how the wolf rib is constructed. Like our construction of the wolf rib is not the same at
right. It
all. Even
doesn't
with
look
the
the same.
fake looking hinge, it doesn't look the same at all. So I'm like,
It's way wide. It does. First
there's
off, it
also no
doesn't look
pelerin.
detaching. Yeah,
There's
and
no
like
pelerin.
if they have gotten very strict about curvature on certain helms, so why is that not there? And especially because they have the strict on the eye bars, right? So you can't have extra sets of eye bars. So why do you have extra sets of horizontal bars?
It's like I would really like at some point, like I don't know if Paul is going to do it, but I would love it for us to be able to get like a video interview with like one of the AC people and
Dude,
just
that's
ask them
you.
these questions.
That's you, man.
I would be super down just to
That's you.
not to
Gotta
come at them.
pull
I'm not going to come at them like
like how
aggressively,
I
but I'm going
would.
to come at them. I'm going to come at them with all of my questions and be like,
Yeah.
look, can you just like explain to me what how this shit is working so I can bring it back to my side of the world and be like, well, I mean, this is their justification for how the shit works, and then
I
we can
mean,
decide if it's bullshit or not for ourselves,
Lor-
right?
Lawrence Lawrence Langisi always is down to talk if you're coming at him honestly. So if you wanted to pull him, but he's the American rep, so I don't know if he's high enough up. Like I feel like you want to go deeper.
I want to know like because I'm like learning disabled, right? Like I'm like very slow. I'm a very like I know I talk a lot, but I'm a very slow learner. So I need to like understand the shit. That's why I love doing research because it gives me the core knowledge that I need to be able to understand all the bullshit people say. So it's
Yeah.
like I need to go to the source of this shit, and I can't find that source anywhere, right? Like I don't have it. I just have this, and I'm like, who the fuck wrote this? What the fuck else have they written? Is there
Right.
like a place? Is there somebody who can
Where,
answer the question?
and where are the citations? Where are my citations? Where's my fucking MLA? All
Bro,
right. Number 2. All edges of all hafted and bladed weapons must be rebaited in compliance with this document before each tournament. Important points must be rounded to a diameter of 20 meters before a tournament. I don't know why this is not just.
millimeters,
What did I say?
meters.
Oh yeah,
It's a
20
big point.
meters.
It's a big point.
Why is this not 2.2? Just like that's not like
2.2 centimeters.
no. Why is important? Like this just seems like a like why is this separate from this? I don't know why. This is a weird formatting thing.
Formatting is weird. I mean, maybe they're just trying to make it stand out. It jumps out
Uh,
at you.
yeah,
They're
all
like, oh
blades
shit.
must be rebated and have a thickness of 2 millimeters or more. This requirement applies to the indentations of the blades. So does that mean
That makes sense.
the fuller has to be
Yeah,
2 millimeters too? Interesting. That's cool.
yeah,
So like this is the type
that
of
makes
spec.
sense.
This is the type of spec I want. I want specs like this as opposed to proven to exist. Like this is measurable. It's
I mean, that's
objective. We know what that means. This is a great specification right here. Well done.
yeah. All right, Christ. All right, here we
All
go. My
shields.
cat just flew by me. Oh God. Uh,
All shields, wooden, metal, leather, or woven. What is a woven shield? Do you know what they're
Canvas, maybe?
talking?
No.
Like what
It
material?
has to be. It has to be talking about what they're covered with. Woven must be like a canvas covering. You know when you cover your shield in
Maybe.
like
I'm
wool
just
or canvas or some
yeah.
shit.
I'm
Not
just
wool, but
picturing
canvas.
someone coming out with like a completely clothed shield, just cut, just like or like they did enough shibari to like get the fucking rope super thick, sturdy, and but like wicker shields. What?
Wicker
Wicker
shields.
shields?
Not midi. That wicker shields aren't medieval.
Hold on one second.
They've also made armor out of linen and glue, and it becomes super stiff and can stop
Yep,
knives.
that's true.
Did you hear that? Good. Okay.
That's true.
All right. So that's what you
The
know. What
Chinese, the Chinese made armor out of paper.
we're gonna do? I'm paper armor.
Yeah, they made armor out of
We
paper.
that's what we're doing. Next fight, I'm gonna come out in paper armor with my fucking linen
I'm
shields.
I'm only going head kicks. I told you. My whole strategy now is just head kicks
Wait, in
forever.
my paper
Only
armor,
head
I'm gonna
kicks.
be able to kick you so high. It's
Oh
gonna
my
happen.
god, bro.
This is the new meta.
Um, so
Um,
they must be modeled after a historical artifact. That's an archaic spelling of artifact, and repeat the form of the original in all 3 dimensions. The shield must match the armor kit of the fighter in period and region. Oh, is my shield banned?
oh my
Is my round
god.
shield banned? I think my
It
round
might
shield is
be.
banned.
I think
I
it.
think I might
Holy
get banned.
shit.
Oh, bro, fuck that. Well, I mean, I
Okay,
don't duel with
so
HMB anyway because I hate
wait.
their dueling rules,
The
but that
form.
bans my round shield.
Repeat the form in the original. Does that mean strapped bucklers are out? If are strap bucklers?
No, obviously not. Anything the Russians use is clearly not out.
Well, so those straps might be for straps that you would hook onto like a belt or something, as opposed to strap on your wrist. And if you use it like,
That would normally be a hook that would be either like welded or
yeah,
riveted
it's a
to the
good point.
inside of the buckler, and it would be that's where the term swashbuckler comes from, right? Is that you would be walking around with
And it would swash.
your small sword, your small sword, or your arming sword, whatever kind of sword you were carrying, and your buckler in the middle of town, and you would be walking around, and it would make a clanking sound as you're walking around.
So that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's a legit thing.
I want to be an actual swashbuckler now, like in
Yeah, but it was
just
a
like
way of being
around the
like
day.
it was a way of like BDE in the middle of the village. You know, they're walking around. Everyone's like, "Oh fuck, that guy! He's like looking for trouble." Clank, clank, clank.
So anything that clanks is like if you have like a clanking like the guys with the wallet chains. Do you remember those? They're swash chains now. Swash
Oh, bro, I was
chaining.
so edgy. I was so edgy in college.
Were you a chain wallet?
I was so goth in college. I was
Oh
so
man.
goth, like goth metalhead,
No,
super hard
we
metalhead
can't
in
be friends
college.
anymore. I'm sorry. I
Bro,
can't
you
be
don't like
friends.
metal?
I know. I hate goth people. I can't.
What?
I can't be friends.
You don't like metal? You
No,
don't like metal though?
I'm fine with metal. I'm
Are you
trolling.
serious?
I'm trolling. I'm trolling.
Okay, you like metal. All
Not
right, good.
really, actually. But like, it's
What?
okay. I
Bro,
like
free
fit.
your mind,
I
bro.
like some fantasy metal. Some fantasy metal
No,
is
my
alright.
God, bro. I'm gonna show you some prog. You
Okay,
gotta prog
do
it up.
do it.
Devin Townsend,
You
man.
can't share it on this or we'll get kicked off Twitch. But like, share it with me sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
um, man, this is yeah. So I feel like this is gonna ban a lot of stuff. The having the historical artifact. So that means also that if you are basing your off of a manuscript, that or your shield off a manuscript, that no longer counts, right? That's
Oof.
my reading of this.
Oof, strong.
That's my reading of this. It only counts if you can point to a recovered shield.
Bro, this is aggressive. It's an aggressive, like, if we're supposed to take that to the letter, that's an aggressive level of reenactment.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
because at what point is it no longer modeled? How much curvature is too much curvature? How much flatness is too flat for that model at that size with that history and that kit? Like, that's very, very reenacty. Like,
Yeah.
I
Also,
like I couldn't conform to this.
also when
I cannot conform to this.
I know that it's not saying that this isn't what they mean, but with a reading of this, should weight matter, right? Should you have to match the weight
There's
of
gonna be I'm sure
an
there's gonna
artifact?
be I'm sure there's gonna be a rule about weight.
All right, let's go. Let's keep going. The entire edge of a
Yeah,
wooden
there's a rule about
shield
weight.
must be covered with either a band of thick leather, not thinner than 2 to 4 millimeters, or with at least 3 or more layers of fabric. The leather
Right,
band must
legit.
be glued or also stitched or
And
riveted
also
to
stitched.
the shield. The rivets must be neatly finished. The edge of the rivet should not stick out. I'm okay
I'm
with
fine with
that.
that.
I don't like that it needs to be
Make your
neatly
shit not like
finished.
yeah, make your shit not look like garbage is totally fine with me.
I wish they just said the rivet needs to not stick out because like
I would just say make your shit not look like garbage straight up. Your shit looks like garbage.
Hey,
Like,
what do
I
you
have
have?
no problem
What do you have in this
banning
trash,
somebody.
buddy? You
It
just
looks
you
like
just want to
trash
ban
and
me.
it
You
makes
just
us
want to
all look
ban me.
bad.
You're
You
just
make us all
scared.
look bad.
It's
You
because
make
you're
us all look
scared.
bad.
It's because
Get
you're
nice armor.
scared.
Take care of your shit. Take pride in yourself.
Yeah, scared of
You
getting beat
show
by
up
a
to the match
trash.
not showered, I am gonna fucking kick the
Dude,
shit out of you.
I'm gonna add extra rust. I'm gonna put my kid out for a week
You just
just to
leave it
get
there.
extra rust.
Get a tetanus shot before you fight.
And then Eastern kids are deaf out because they all look like garbage. Mikey going
Because they all
ham.
look like garbage.
Some of them
Mikey's
look
an
good.
angry little man.
There are
He's an angry little man, Mikey.
there
Come
are
on.
some really nice looking Eastern kids.
Mikey needs to smoke some ganj with Bear and just free his mind.
Freeze mine.
You can make that jump. Everybody fails the first time, Mikey. You can make that jump. Free your mind.
The flat
The
outside.
flat outside of wooden shields must be covered with leather fabric. Okay, fine.
Interesting.
The entire
Why?
the entire hems. Why?
Yeah.
Maybe because you'll see fewer scratches in the shield. It's also probably more historical. I don't think they would just roll with uncovered wood
Yeah, I guess.
because
Alright.
it increases the lifetime and durability of the shield. So I think that's just more consistent with a find, and it's probably just a better practice overall for
Sure.
your shield. So.
Okay. The entire.
And also, we want specifications. That's a
Yeah.
precise equipment
I
specification.
that one I don't have an issue. I just kind of like a huh? It was not a.
Yeah, yeah.
This is bad.
Yeah. I'm just energetic. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
The
Also,
entire
I
hems.
often shit on them, so it's fair to call out and be like.
Well, I wasn't trying to snap at you, is what I'm saying. I'm primed now. I'm
You're
hyped
fired
now.
up. You're fired up.
I'm ready. I'm ready. The entire hems of metal shields must be rolled to the thickness of a minimum of 4 millimeters or more. Important metal shields must be of round shapes, based on historical artifact, and must repeat the form of the original in all 3 dimensions. Full metal shields must match the kit in both region and period. For example, the 16th century European or Eastern kits. I would need like a picture example. That's
Yeah.
rough. I don't know what that means.
I don't know
I
what
get
this
what you're
means.
saying is the edge of my shield
Must
can't can't be like 3 millimeters, and it
Yeah,
has
that
to be a
makes
rolled
sense.
edge. It has to be
Okay.
a rolled edge. I'm fine with that.
That part's good. This 3.3 is good.
Yeah.
The
The
important.
important.
I'm
What the fuck does that
confused.
of a round shapes? Does that mean like round shields,
So it's yeah. I'm guessing that means you
or does
can't.
that mean they have to have curvature?
Oh, I don't know. Like it, but like, my reading of it is you can't make a heater out of metal. But also, why? Like maybe this is just trying to say you have to make a buckler. Which I would wish they just say something like that, or it can only be this large. You know, like if they're saying a metal shield has to be a buckler, right? If that's based off a historical artifact, if they mean a historical metal shield, right? The only historical metal shields we know of, I think, are
No, there are heater shields that were made out of steel, weren't there?
I've
Weren't there
never heard of it.
like riding shields? No,
I've never heard of it.
maybe I'm wrong. I could be. I'm probably wrong.
I'm proud.
I'm probably wrong. I'm probably wrong.
And this is that thing we're talking about, right? If
Oh,
they gave us access to their
give me a picture.
sources,
Give me a picture. Give me a
give me a
picture.
bunch. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Oh my god. I'm about to go and buy a shield, and it's going to cost me like $300. Give me a picture, please. Cost you nothing. Cost you nothing. Just be like drag, paste, sweet picture.
Yeah.
Oh, bro.
Maybe they'll come out with a video, right? You should get Irene, that PR lady, to fucking make a video describing each one of these in fucking detail.
With examples, just hold up a shield and be like, "This is what we mean." Here's an
Yeah.
example of an Eastern.
Here's
I
good.
know.
Here's bad.
Here's an example of an Eastern kit.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Just approve the 5 kits and let us. I'm not bitching about approving 5 kits, Mikey. If they tell us we can only have 5 kits, I'm back in. I'm on Team
I'm
HMB.
buying one of those. I'm buying one of those kits.
Yeah, I'm on Team HMB when they tell us these are the kits you can have. I'm back into Team HMB.
I think that that's ultimately the way they're going to go, for sure, because they want to be taken seriously as a sport. And I think that in terms of your your view to people, like people need to. It has to be so simple for fighters to get in, right, from all over the world, and they all have to know what the fuck is going on, right? There has to be shit that like bypasses the language barrier. And when you're like this allowed, this not allowed, that's the best. We all like the documents they come out with, even though we bitch about them, right? When they
They're
show
getting
pictures,
better.
this allowed and this not allowed, we like regardless of what gets banned, we're all like, oh, it's sick. They've like shown us specifically.
Except they haven't this time.
I think this is like, I imagine you're supposed to like. Did you ever play like regular Nintendo?
Yeah,
So you remember playing games like Castlevania?
vaguely.
You remember that game?
Yeah.
So back in the day, right? Regular Nintendo didn't have like map systems like we have today, right? So in order for you to be able to like map out Castlevania or like games like Rogue, for example, you would have to draw these giant maps, and you would play the game, and you would have like your floor covered in documents that would be showing you like where all the shit is. And I'm like, I think that's the
Yo, I'm
intent
not going
behind.
back to
So this is
first
the way I'm
edition.
looking at it.
That's,
So this is the way I'm looking at it. So you open up your equipment and technical guidelines document like here, right? So now you have all of these documents open, and then you're like, okay, so I want helmets, and you open up your helmet references, right? And you see like what's allowed and what's not allowed, and then you open up like your gauntlet references, and then so you have a whole like table filled out with all of your references, and you're like, cool. Now I want to be like,
no, bro. I play
you gotta like
Skyrim.
you go
I
around like,
don't.
no, bro, you go
No one
around
wants
like
it.
you
No
got
one
you go
wants
you
that.
start here, and then you're like, okay, so I want this helmet. It's allowed these anachronisms. I have to check this
No,
document. Cool.
no.
My helmet fits
I
this.
want to fucking.
Now,
I want to.
now, what you have to do is you have to message a dude on Facebook who doesn't speak English as his first language, and then send him money via an insecure transfer method where you could easily get ripped off, definitely get no guarantee of product or return or quality, and then just hope that you didn't get scammed to eventually receive something in the mail that should hopefully not already be banned by the time you receive it.
Please,
That's how it works.
Please tell me someone clipped that. I don't want to have
That's
to go
how
and
it
pull
works.
that out. That was fucking dumb. Punch shields. All right, is punch shield even a fucking technical term? Right, like that's not a historical term.
So
right?
so I called it a Pavis shield once, and
Yeah.
I got my ass handed to me by Europeans who then also call it Pavis shields.
Yeah. So I don't. If
So I
you're gonna,
think
if we're gonna be
like
talking about in a fucking authenticity
Thank you,
document.
Julie.
If we're gonna be talking about this in a fucking authenticity document, talking about our historical shit, and you're using a non-technical term, like what makes it a punch shield as opposed to a not fucking punch shield? This is just, I
Do you punch with it?
I punch with every shield. What
Well, then
shield
it's a punch
don't you
shield.
punch? Must have the striking edge rounded to a radius of at least 70 millimeters and measured at least 550 millimeters long and 300. I don't like
You
this.
wanted
It would
specs? They're giving specs.
this would be a fine spec if it was a purely technical spec and we knew what punch shield meant as opposed to any other shield. But like,
So are we reading it like noobs? Where this
it,
is the first time and we don't know the rules and we're like, okay, cool. So like, what's
yeah,
a punch
kind of,
shield? Okay,
yes.
so hold on. Okay, do me a solid.
No,
All right,
no. Here's
because you're streaming. Do me a solid. Do a Google search for punch shield, and I want to see what you find. So I just typed in punch shield. Ooh, this is not a good start.
Everyone gets to see all of my frequently viewed things.
Okay,
including-
so we're off to a bad start.
yeah,
Punch shield.
there's
I'm gonna go with
nothing. There's nothing
medieval
in here.
punch shield.
All
Okay,
of
so
these
when I
are
see
fucking
medieval
training.
punch shield, yeah, when I do medieval punch shield, I see like medieval extreme.
Yeah, I mean, like, people can figure it out, but except like I don't know. I know what I mean when I say punch shield, but that's not a historical term. So in a historical
Great.
document, I'm not sure that this actually means that, and that's why I'm annoyed. In a technical
Yeah.
document, this makes sense. In a historical document, I actually now have to question: do you mean something like a Pavis shield? And like,
Or
is
an oval, or a trapezoid, or a
is a
square.
does a round shield strapped like that count as a punch shield?
Yes. Any shield
Exactly.
you intend to punch with, I guess, is
But like
really
you're
what
gonna
the intended.
let's say I
The
wanted to.
intended
I mean, I would say a heater doesn't count. I would say if a heater strapped traditionally, right? So with the point down and the flat part up here, not the point coming to your fucking where you're punching. If you came in with a heater strap traditionally, like people take into a sword and shield dueling, which I don't know
With
why
the-
you would do it in Bohurt, but let's say you did. Or I guess this doesn't even apply to Bohurt. This applies to all, right? This applies to singles too. So if you were to
Yeah,
if you were,
this is for
So-
HMB events.
so I want to punch with that shield, and you're allowed to punch in sword and shield duels, and you're allowed to punch in pro fights. So does that count as a punch shield? Because I'm going to punch with that top corner, or does it not? I would
think so.
assume it does.
I would assume yes.
See,
I would assume it does.
And now and see
Now
and this
we're-
is
yeah.
and that's why I have a problem with this.
And we answered at the same time too. That was funny.
all
That's
right,
funny.
all modern fastenings, screws, and like my hope is that we would actually have some answers. And so far we have. I don't feel like anything's cleared up for me. I was hoping.
Well,
you'd
I
be able
mean, okay, so we have specifications we have certain terms for some things and we have uncertain terms for other things.
That's true.
So far, compared to other organizations' rule documents that I've seen of this type, it's not terrible. The translation needs
probably
work,
better.
needs a lot
Yep.
of work. The translation needs lots of work, and I imagine that if there was like a solid, a real quality translation, we would get, the sense of the thing. I asked for a copy in Russian, so I can get somebody I know to translate it.
Do you know anyone who speaks Russian?
Yeah.
Who do you know who speaks Russian?
Liaxe, he's one of the guys on Scalagrim.
Okay, that makes sense.
So he was
Yeah,
like,
of
"Yo, if
course,
you can get me a copy in Russian, I'll tell you what it says." And I'm like, "Sweet."
Of
So
course,
I asked.
of
I'm
course
waiting
not.
to see if she gives me one.
All
That would
right,
be really
that
cool.
makes sense. All right. Yeah, I would love to sort of see what is this as translation issues, but like this is definitely you shouldn't
Can your
use
shield be
technical.
made out of titanium?
It's a great question.
Can your shield be made out of titanium?
We haven't got to. Yeah, it doesn't talk about what types. It doesn't talk about what types of
Because
wood.
it says metal shields. It says metal shields, and all your equipment has to be made out of plausible alternatives, and titanium counts as metal for that description.
Where does it say
So-
plausible alternatives?
So you remember? So I mean, we're gonna go like we got to skip
Alright.
all the way to point 6.
All right. Well, let's wait.
Si-
Let's see what we can get through, and then we can get to it. All
Right.
modern fastening screws, bolts, nuts, staples must be concealed. I'm okay with this. On the back of the
Yeah,
like, I don't. This is
it's
not a
fine.
thing I like, but this is exactly how I want it to be said. This is how you
Yep,
should do it. This is fine.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with. Like, I don't like
Yep,
it, but I'm fine with it.
that's fine.
Um,
I'm fine with it.
yeah,
I have no problem with it.
you probably like it.
I don't. I don't. I just
all
don't give a fuck about that particular rule. I'm like, all
well,
right, so I have to like cut off part of the bolt. Pfft, whatever.
all images on shields must be stylized in correspondence to the region.
Bro, this one's huge. This one's massive. This is a massive, massive rule. This like wrecks your heraldry. If your like team logo isn't like
It means you almost have
possible.
to. Your team almost has to pick a set of kits, or you can't put your team's logo on your shield. Or you have to
Well, it just
find
has to be
someone else to.
it just has to be stylized
Oh
in the
yeah, you
same
have to
kind of a
find
way.
someone to restylize the logo onto your shield to look different.
All of the ACS's shit is
It's
not
gone.
allowed.
It's all gone.
All of it is gone.
Some people's logos are documentable. Close
My
to,
shit is like very close. My shit
like
is like
there's
close
a
to
bunch of
being
people
out.
like the Monarch's lion is gold. It's gold on purple, so like that should fit heraldry colors, and it's looks like a heraldic lion. So like
Mine is
that
white
works.
and red. I think white and red
Ooh.
is legit, but we
Yeah,
have the dot.
because white could be silver. Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
works.
white can be argent, and red is like ruby or some bullshit. And then,
Uh,
but we have black, and black is our dogue, and it's like right in the middle of all of the shit. And I don't think you're allowed to
Ooh.
have I don't think you're allowed to have it touching all of the shit. Like
Bro, like all of a sudden,
I hate the rules of heraldry. I hate them. They're the
all
worst.
of
They're
a sudden,
stupid.
all the SCA heralds are like gonna start coming over to Bowherd now. They're gonna
Oh my
have
god.
just
And it's like, but the problem with medieval heraldry is they have all these rules and then everybody breaks the rules because everybody already took up all the rest of the shit. So you're like, "Oh fuck, I literally cannot be original in the rules because everyone's already took all the cool shit. So I have to break the rules."
Yep.
So like I kind of think that's a dumb rule, but
Also, I
I
bet we
also
could
kind of
find.
want to be able to put like, advertisements on my shield and shit.
Yeah,
I would
dude.
love to be able to be like a NASCAR.
I want Coca-Cola all over me. I want to stamp
I want the
Pepsi on my.
McDonald's punch shield. A
I want
smile with every order.
it. Yes. I want. I wanted to go Ricky Bobby on this. Put something over my eye slots. Put like a. uh,
Important. It is prohibited to decorate shields with images that are modern and derogatory.
yeah.
So
See,
no,
this is bullshit.
none of this.
This is bullshit. I
I
can't
mean,
put
the
a.
derogatory makes
Okay.
sense,
Wait.
but
What is
flying penises are historical.
I was gonna say, can I put like a dude mooning them? Because I can definitely document the
That's
fuck out of
fucking mad
that.
historical.
That's
I
so,
want like, what about the demon who's carrying his own penis in the wheelbarrow?
dude. How
Can
about the
that be my
guy? You know
heraldry?
the guy in chainmail who's just sitting holding his chainmail up while he takes a dump. I want that.
Bro, there's so much good shit you can do.
Uh, so good. There's an option
There's,
to use rigid handles for shields with a central grip. Okay, I
yep,
guess. I
yep,
don't.
like my shield, like my round shield
Wait,
or a buckler.
does that mean there isn't an option to use rigid handles for non-center
Which
grips?
makes perfect sense. Which makes perfect sense because what situations do you see a rigid handle on not a not like on a heater shield? You wouldn't traditionally. They would have like the hardened leather handle, but it wouldn't be like wood or steel,
Ugh, I hate it.
right? And it's like you would have various strapping systems if you're talking
Oh,
about heater shield.
did you see the next important?
Additional straps are prohibited for shields with central grip and boss, except for bucklers. Ha
They just added it in. Like
ha!
I want their sources.
Very sneaky.
I want their fucking
Very
sources.
sneaky. Very sneaky.
I'm putting a huge mooning asshole at the AC logo, and the AC logo will be what bounces the shield. Oh my god. Yes.
It's so much vitriol. Why don't you just be nice, Mikey? Just be a nice boy.
Why can't they just
Jesus.
be nice and allow me to strap my center grip shields and
Jesus.
add an extra
For the
rigid handle.
category, for the category Sword and Shield, the maximum shield dimensions are no more than 750 by 620, or in the case of round shields, 70 millimeters is so like that's 5 centimeters bigger than my shield, and I'm like, oh, bro, I would kill for that 5 centimeters.
Yeah.
I would fucking kill for that 5 centimeters in IMCF dueling, because let me tell you, 65 versus the 75 is like, bro, that's not fair.
I believe that. That's a big difference.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I would love to be able to go like 80 centimeters. That would be like my favorite.
The case.
That's my comfort zone with round shield, but
So I don't know enough because I don't do enough sword and shield to. I basically only use a buckler, so I don't know enough about the sizes on these. But this is exactly the type of tech spec I like. This is a great spec.
yeah, me too.
Spec wise, it's great. Um, though it's
Sword and buckler, max diameter of the buckler is no more than 35 centimeters. What do you think of that? It's like
uh,
fucking that kind of thing.
35 centimeters. That's like just over a foot, right?
Yeah,
That's pretty small. I think I have an 18-inch buckler. That sucks. That
it's like
band's
yeah.
that band's like all my duck. Oh, but this is just for sword and buckler. Uh, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like sword and buckler right now. I don't like how undefensive the buckler is. It feels like it's gonna turn
It's because
into
people don't know how to fight, though. It's because people don't know how
maybe.
to fight, and the structure of the match
I also
makes it so
don't.
that you don't have to be technically good with a buckler. You don't have to like I-33 and like do any of this shit. You don't have to work with the bind because you're just spamming 5 hits. So I
That's
just run in and go, and then
that's
that's why I don't do
that's what I
sword and
don't
buckler.
like. That's what I yeah. Like I was like
Dumb.
with the rules the way they are now, the buckler being smaller, I think is worse. Um, but also, I've watched a bunch of Sword and Buckler recently, and they don't call some fairly solid-looking hits. Almost, it looks like it's not they're missing them. It's like I feel like they have specific requirements that I just don't know because I never took a marshals class for HMB for what a hit
Possible.
constitutes. But like I've watched dudes like light a guy up, and then you'll see like they had two hits.
You watch
You're
the
like,
Sam Ride sword and buckler fight from
I've,
AMCF.
I have not watched it yet. No.
It's worth watching. He's good. Very good.
Yeah, I
Very,
believe
very
it.
good. Julie asks, are any of these changes for safety? Julie, so this document is like a version 2 of their current equipment document. So it may contain some changes, but from my understanding, it's more like a re-release with better translation and more clarity. So I don't know if like I don't know if it's a question like this isn't so much a question of like raw safety as it is a question of like what the technical requirements for the sport are in addition to what the authenticity requirements of the sport are. I believe that there's going to be some specifications with regards to safety, like and similar specifications. So I mean, like we'll keep going through it, and I think some of the specifications are definitely for safety, but some are questionable. Sure, at least to us who don't have insider knowledge.
A rigid handle and additional straps are permitted for bucklers with center grip and boss. I want sources on this. I want sources on this. The
Yeah,
weight
me
of
too.
all shields must not exceed 5 kilograms. So that
Like
does
why would you use a buckler if you're in a full suit of armor? Let's like be real for a second, right? Like functionally, why would you use a buckler? Because if I'm in a full suit of armor, like really, I'm not even necessarily inclined to use a shield in like a
that's that.
traditional
So
combat scenario.
that would be my argument. I would go with the same reason the longsword guy, uses it. I would think it's lighter than a real shield. It's easy to just strap on and hold, right? That hook. You can pick it up and hold your longsword, protect that hand. Um, if
I
it's
have gauntlets though.
yeah, but
I'm a knight. I have gauntlets. I'm a knight. I'm
those all
rich.
right. So
I have like sick ass armor.
we've seen how well finger gauntlets work against our fucking equipment. Imagine them working against like weapons that are
Granted, but if you
meant to
have like
kill you.
a mitten, right? If you have mittens,
But most people had finger gauntlets. Finger gauntlets were the better
true,
weapon.
true, 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 true.
I could see people having bucklers. I can see them having them. Or like lose
I would
your
see when riding, it's very good when riding. But if I'm
maybe.
like on foot, if I'm on foot and I'm like battlefield, bro, I'm fucking. Like, oh
Yeah,
my
in
god.
I
In
definitely
tourney maybe. In tourney
yeah, I
maybe.
could. The thing is, I could see it, but also like I haven't seen it. I could see it, but like I haven't seen it in any
Yeah.
manuscript. I has it been
Me either.
documented in any historical account of a fight? But for that, also like the shields we use, most those wouldn't be used by people in as much armor as us, correct?
Like I gotta reread the King Rene tourney book because I want to
That's a
see.
good idea.
Yeah, like I want to see because you made a really good point that if like HMB is drawing their primary, that's the primary source for pretty much the entirety of the sport. Like I want to see what like how they depict the fights like from like the OG perspective, right? And I'm
Hmm.
very curious because it's been like a few years since I've read it. I don't have like a clear shot in my mind. I remember like from what I read, like the kits were fucking flamboyant as fuck. So
Hmm.
it's like, how come we're not required to be super flamboyant?
Right.
You
Well,
know, like
this is my point about we should have a historical league, and we should have an open league, kind of like NASCAR has your stock car, and then you have your Formula One, which is your open,
mhm,
open.
mhm.
Um, where and like HMB kind of does this with their plate thing, but their plate is super restrictive, and like to me, I think a little bit more restrictive than what you have here would be good enough for your historical league, and then
It's aggressive.
and like for that you could also be like, you know what, let's just be historical. Let's anyone can come in a fucking perfectly kitted out Viking kit, as long as you like hidden kit under it. um I don't
I'm
know.
just wondering like how far like how restrictive is this in terms of letting people in? How much of this is I'm going to use a term that like I don't really like, but how much of
Gatekeeping.
this is like gatekeeping,
Gatekeeping,
right? So it's
yeah.
like I think in a competitive context there's a certain amount of gatekeeping required, and not necessarily to preserve like the purity of the sport, but to preserve the competitive viability of the sport and to ensure a certain quality of performance for spectators as well as competitors, right? So I think that there's a certain level of gatekeeping that's required, and normally that's done through the point of qualification at the national level, right? So it's like you can't just be a nobody who shows up at a world championship. There's a variety of steps that you have to go through in order to be able to be present, right? And normally that requires you winning a set of tournaments and actually having some kind of performance that's top in your nation, right? Which is generally like a couple of clubs for most countries. It isn't like fucking thousands of people trying out. So that's due to pool size. But so it's like I normally think that that's how the gatekeeping should go. Because of the requirement on the player to obtain their own equipment, right? How restrictive do these measures make it for the average fighter to be able to even get to a point where if they have the skill they can be present? That's like how much of the world is this really keeping out at
I
this level of restrictiveness?
I don't the I mean some of this is definitely the academically bit. I think that's keeping a bunch of people out because like how, but there are people who are like, you know, we can do the work for you and all this other stuff, and so I don't know that it's keeping them out in the way of forcing them out, but it's definitely putting a barrier to entry that people might just be like, I just don't want to do it, and like we could be losing
It's
a
fair.
lot of good fighters who would
It's fair.
otherwise. So it's a question of like I don't think it's pushing people out of the sport, like forcing them out. But I think it might be enough to make people just be like, nah, you know, it's a subtle difference.
It's a
Anyway,
lot of work.
it's
Already
a
we're at just at point 310 and it's
yeah
like a lot of work already.
yeah. A fighter
It's like
a fighter is
the weight of all
accountable.
shields must not
We did
exceed
that.
5 kilogram,
We
by the
did
way.
that. Right, which is like that's so like that almost makes it right. Like you might want a titanium shield because then you get more coverage. And I don't know.
All right, let's wait.
It's this idea, yeah, of like, can you, of what materials count, what don't. It's questionable. TPI shields, let's go. A fighter
I'm
is
saying, yeah.
accountable for quality, protective properties, and durability of the defensive equipment they're using. All right, I don't know what this means.
Fighter controls the security and reliability of their protective equipment, sufficient level of protection it provides, and must check it before the fight. Fair enough. A
Okay.
fighter is ultimately responsible for their offensive and defensive equipment, its quality, historical accuracy, aesthetic appearance, and compliance with the requirements of this document. That's
I mean,
implied already.
yeah, I was gonna say
so-
that's true. You just stated
Yeah.
a truism.
Yep. A suit of armor must be fully and securely protect the fighter's spine, including the tailbone, sacrum, neck, and joints in any body position. Good
so that,
rule.
That bans Ice Falcon's coat of plates.
Everything.
In case anyone
That bans Ice Falcons everything.
You can't wear them. They have a gap right along the spine.
They have a gap along the spine?
Mhm.
What?
Mhm.
What do you mean they have a gap along the spine?
So you know how
That's your spine.
You know
How you have a spine?
You know how brakes fastened in the front? His do that in
Correct.
the back. And so even when it's
Okay.
buckled all the way tight, there's this very little gap
Oh my
that
oh my
basically
God.
sits right on your spine. And I'm like, that gap is just thin enough that like a weapon could hit and slide in, and you could
Oh my
get
God. Someone's going to get paralyzed. Oh my God. Textile adhesive tape of neutral colors is permitted for urgent reparations during the tournament.
that.
All
I'm
right.
so in. I'm so in. I'm back in. I'm a Team HMB. I can use tape to keep my armor working. I'm back in. Team HMB, let's
During
go.
the tournament. You can't start the tournament with it.
You know what? I'll fix my armor enough for the start of the
Yeah.
tournament.
That's fair. I also agree with that. I think that's fair because that way you don't get people dropping because of like a strap that breaks. You could just be like, tape that shit on, let's go.
So I think tape is crucial. Though I love Craig Nadler came up with this great idea for IMCF one year, which is period duct tape, and it's you just make a bunch of leather straps and you just they're ready to go. They're leather straps, they have the buckle, and you don't
Dump 'em in
attach
glue?
them. No, you don't attach them. You just put it around, tighten it as tight as it'll go. Boom. It's good.
That's a great idea.
It's like it'll slide a little bit, but not much, and like it looks a little better than the tape. It's not as effective as the tape, and that was if I was ever gonna go to HMB, that was my solution. I'm back in though. Honestly
That's a
not
sick
being
rule.
able to tape was one of my biggest problems with HMB, which I don't know if that was actually a rule, but now that I know it is okay, I might be Team HMB.
So I think we can skip most of section 5 because it's just like numbers.
Okay.
And
well,
those numbers I don't really
I'm gonna skim it real quick because the fact that it's numbers is interesting to me.
I think 5.4 is legit. That's some shit we should talk
Everyone
about.
needs
Like
to choose
5.4,
first.
5.5, 5.6. But the
Okay.
graph, I don't think we need to go over.
No, I don't think we need to go into the details of the graph. What did did you read the bottom of it? All right, zoom in real quick.
The permissible upward error for one-hand weapons is 100 grams. Yeah, okay.
Okay, letting an error weight in is good. The hilt, this is good.
What are
With
there's
sharp
no
corners,
downward
less-
error. I can't be 100 grams under. That's not fair.
It's interesting. Must only have wooden handles and no sharp edges. The overall though, this is exactly what I want. Oh
Yeah.
no! Only arms which have chronological validity in a specific historical period is confirmed by extensive research carried out and confirmed. I was
Never
so
doing one of
I
these
was
events.
I
I
was
can't do it.
in.
I
was in
cannot.
and back out.
I cannot do it.
Well, like-
I can't do it. I can't do it.
What like if do they mean like you have to do college level fucking research? Because that's what it fucking sounds like to me.
I can't do this. I can't do this.
All right,
It's too much.
5-4, 5-4.
Jesus. I want to. I would love it. Just tell me what to buy. I'll buy it. Just tell me. At this point, just fucking tell me. Tell me like you could buy this sword from this dude and it's legit with this kit, and like you buy this kit from that guy, or it's like here's a link to a dude who will sell you everything you need. That's all for your period. All the weapons, all the armor costs you $20,000. Let's go.
Let's go.
Jesus Christ.
The heads of hafted weapons must be secured to the haft by several methods. What? How many is several? Can't you
Several
s-
is 3 generally. Couple then several.
I just wish they'd have said the number. But like I agree, with poorly secured heads are prohibited. I wish you just said what that meant. Like it has to be glued, pinned, strapped, and wedged. How about that? Say it's got to be all of them.
it should be most of those. It should be at least glued, pinned, and wedged.
Right? Like I wish they were
I
like.
don't think you need straps if it's glued, pinned, and wedged.
I don't know. I just wish they'd said this is the minimum. Over though, that's a nitpick. That's a nitpick. I
That's
will
fine.
be honest. I'm being nitpicky.
At least it's precision. At least it's precision.
Nope, pinned, done. Mikey, get the fuck out of here. It's a dumb objection. Weapons heavier than the technical regulations prescribed are prohibited unless, they're within their range.
Stabbing is like no good.
The weapons have constructed solely for stabbing are prohibited. So you can't.
Damn it! My one secret weapon gone.
I was gonna have a rondelle dagger. I don't
just go.
Long and two-handed impact weapons are prohibited. What does that mean?
Two-handed maces.
What about pole hammers? Are pole hammers banned now?
Yeah, pole hammers were always banned.
In HMB?
Yeah.
I thought pole hammers were allowed in HMB.
No. You can have the hammer back.
You can have. I mean, to me, this sounds like you can't have a hammer back, but okay. Also, what does long mean? I just wish they'd said two-handed. But all right.
I know you don't know what long means. It's all right, bro.
Hey. Though, I would say as my brother, you probably don't either. It's not.
I mean, I definitely, don't need to answer that question. My work speaks for me. Yeah.
The weapon may have decorations model after elements of the impact weapon on the non-striking side. Why? Why allow that, though? Why allow it? If it's not allowed, why allow it?
The weapon may have decorations modeled after the elements of the impact weapon.
That's saying you have a hammer back.
I don't even know what that means. Get the next point.
Any strikes with decorative elements are strictly prohibited.
Jesus.
Just don't allow it. Weapons may have rebooted hooks on the non-striking edge. Any strikes with
I can have a hook?
Are rebated hooks? So, hold up. May have rebated hooks on the non-striking edge. Any strikes with decorative elements...
Because some halberds would have a hook on the butt, right?
Right, but I assume that means hooks are decorative, but they don't say it. But B, more importantly, can I hook with my hook? Is a hook a strike?
Is a hook a hook? Is that the real question?
Yeah, also, can I hook a shield? Can I hook someone's weapon and yank it out of their hand? What is...
So, how some the mini bar dishes have a little hook to strap on your belt or some shit? I think that's what it's referring to.
Not like a bill hook.
I don't believe it's referring to a bill hook. I believe it's referring to... I could be wrong.
I think it's saying
right?
I think it's saying you can have a bill hook.
You're saying on the end of your halberd you have a hook.
I think that's what it's saying. You can put
and then
a hook
you
on your
turn
back.
your halberd over and then you hook somebody with it.
That's what. Is a hook a strike? I don't.
A hook is a hook. Technically, I know in IMCF, Benoit told me that you're not allowed to strike the back of the knee, but you can put an open hand at the back of the knee to grab it and do takedowns.
But you can't put the weapon on it. What?
Yeah, but I was
why is that
okay.
a difference?
Yeah, I was all right, okay.
Kneesies, no kneesies.
Kneesies or no kneesies. Yeah.
Protective equipment used
here we go.
in HMB armor reproductions of the High Middle Ages. All armor elements must be historical, plausible in proportions, construction, and appearance of the original. Armor must have academically acknowledged originals. So yeah, this is saying manuscripts only shouldn't count. So wolf ribs should be banned. Mm-hmm. This is literally saying wolf ribs should be banned.
That's the first thing I said.
I
read this. It was the first thing I said.
Explicitly, though.
I showed it to Paul. That's the first thing he said. He said, "Oh shit, wolf." I said, "Paul, what do you see when you read this?" And he says to me, "Wolf ribs and titanium are banned." And I was like, "All right, I'm asking Irene what the fuck this means." And she said, "No, because if those two things were banned, it would require a huge announcement. That would be its own separate thing."
Be manufactured using historically plausible materials. Their examples don't even include TI.
Well, titanium is to them steel, and I'm like, I don't know if they use the same periodic table of elements we do. In Russia, is titanium a steel alloy? Or do they, when they sell us titanium, are they not selling us, graded titanium, and they're just calling it that? Oh, boy.
Oh, man. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I found these 2 points to be the most controversial points of the document.
These are
Um,
huge. These are
yeah, so I
huge.
spoke to Irene about them, and she said I had like an hour-long debate with her, and I'm like, look, like these don't like that's where we started talking about the spirit of the sport and how the spirit of the rules are supposed to be, and like how certain things operate within the spirit of the rules. And she says like titanium is like it's plausible in the sense that it looks like metal, and I say no, it doesn't. Titanium doesn't, like when titanium oxidizes, it doesn't look like metal. It looks like it has a dull sheen. You know, you can if you know what titanium is, you can tell it a mile away. Like you're looking at a dude and it looks like he's wearing plastic. So like you can't, and it's like if the spirit of the rule is that we're supposed to be replicating, his history, like doesn't that remove an essential fitness component? I mean, arguably already using hardened 4130 and modern alloys and consistent metal removes like a huge portion of the equipment part of the history thing. But like the lighter your armor becomes, the less physically fit you have to be in order to use the armor. So aren't you removing like an essential component of the like the physicality of the whole history thing because you have to be in such good shape to use your armor? It's like I thought on the other side about this also, where I'm like, well, the prevalence and increased use of titanium in the sport makes one-handed striking more relevant. So I mean, that's cool. So it's like there's that as an added benefit of more titanium. But I think the spirit of this rule is that titanium violates it by definition. I think wolf ribs violate it, especially wolf ribs that have a fabric pelerin. Like, show me an example of a wolf rib with a fabric pelerin. The only wolf ribs I've seen have no pelerin.
I mean, I would honestly say it bans Britashes. I would say it bans the way we do
Oh,
Britashes
so
because
banned.
Britashes don't.
So
They
banned.
don't have that bar that we put there, and it's a hinge, and no one actually does a hinge, and like
Yeah.
this is
Well, you
has
have
academic
you have fake hinge now. Now
right,
it's
but
all about having the real fake hinges.
have academically acknowledged original, not looks like an original. Like it's not looks modeled after original. Like this is saying it is like it is a
A
reproduction.
reproduction.
That's what this says to me.
It's rough.
And so I don't
Yeah,
know.
and
I don't know.
she said no. And obviously, as vets, we know that anything Russia uses is allowed. So
So
obviously, we know that
just look at
if we're
Russia.
prepping, yeah, like if we know that if we're like, oh, what equipment can I use? Just like watch a tournament and you'd be like, oh, cool, I can strap my buckler, I can wear a wolf rib with a fabric pelerin, like everything can be titanium. I can use this weapon, like let's just rock and roll, right? But it's like if you're somebody who's like, I'm getting into the sport, I'm setting up a club, where do I go for the rules? These are the rules. You're gonna be like, be manufactured using historically plausible materials, and then you look up like what shit was made out of, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you like go to armorers and they're selling shit out of titanium, and you're like, there's gonna be like that, you know?
Yeah, there's that
There's
huge
got to
disconnect.
be a list right here. There should be a list that says these are the whitelisted materials
Yeah,
for armor use. Like if it says titanium, it should say specific grades of titanium too.
agreed.
We should know
Material should be
exactly.
material. It should actually tell you the types of materials you can use. Yeah. Be constructed fully and securely. Be constructed to fully and securely protect the vital organs and joints of the fighters. So I guess this means you don't technically need armor on your forearms and like just on your joints and vitals,
Many
right?
of them don't wear bracers on their shield arms
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you don't have to wear a bracer on your other arm
or greaves. You don't
if
need greaves.
greaves are no one needs greaves. Greaves are
No.
for a week. Greaves are a week.
Ah, 6.4 is a great rule. It's a great rule. It's a great rule.
Best rule.
Yeah, it's the best rule. Function properly.
Properly. In
Yeah.
case, yeah. Yeah,
In
you.
case you were wondering, your armor needs
All
to
right. Well,
function
I'm
properly.
out. I'm just.
Your armor does not function properly for sure.
I'm banned. I'm gone.
Yeah, you're
HMB
banned.
wrote that rule for me. Adhere to the requirements for thickness of the protective layers as listed later in this document. I don't know why we had to add that, but okay. I guess that's good. Maintains the size and proportions of the original. All right, here's a question. If I'm
Oh,
the
bro, that's
mountain,
rough.
if I'm the mountain, can I wear armor?
That's proportional. Yeah, as long as it's proportional.
Yeah, but it's not the size.
That
It's
makes
not the
sense.
size.
It's scale. That's scaling, but that's a scaling thing,
All right.
right? So it's like, all right. Show no signs of modern materials or manufacture techniques, for example, nylon cords and straps, welded seams, plastic ties, synthetic materials, unintentional heat tints, modern athletic gear. So, like,
Oh my
I mean,
god.
Paul's biothane is banned by this. This bans biothane.
Yep.
This bans any kind of not like natural leather.
Welded seams. Oh my
That
god.
makes sense though. That makes sense because that just looks like shit. So that would go with the looks like shit rule for
No, it
sure.
doesn't. You can make it look good.
Yeah,
You
but
make
then
it,
you won't see the seam,
maybe.
right? Like
Unintentional heat. I don't know. This whole thing is garbage to me.
nylon cords and straps is stupid to me if you can
Modern
use fucking
athletic
titanium.
gear. Yeah.
That's fair. You shouldn't see that if
Why
you're trying to be
not?
historic. If you because you're trying to be historical. That's in line with the whole mission statement of being historical here.
I didn't see the mission statement in this document.
Really, it doesn't say protective equipment used in HMB armor, reproductions of the High Middle Ages.
It says
All
that,
armor
but it
elements must
doesn't
be
say.
historically plausible in proportions, constructions, and appearance of the original.
Uh,
So, I
yeah,
mean, the rule we're discussing right now,
yeah, but that's
actually
not.
specifies that.
This rule specifies it, but like it's a dumb rule.
Where's
I
my
was,
Under Armour included in this?
um, I don't know.
All elements of the kit. The next rule must comply with the current technical and authentic requirements outlined in this document.
All
The
right,
full
so
kit
wait,
must be
here's
comprised. This is the big one. This is a big one, though.
wait, no,
They
I want to go
changed.
back.
This is a change.
I want to go back to this modern athletic gear thing. Does that
All right.
mean that like you
Gotta
can't
have
wear
rays.
you can't wear? I mean, yeah. Well, no, maybe not because that's not. This is protective
shows.
gear. It's talking about protective gear. So like, I would argue I can wear my fucking Under Armour and like it's not protective gear. That's just my clothes. Fuck
No,
off.
but it can't show.
No, this is not say this is protective gear. This isn't your uniform. It's your
Show no.
protective
It says
gear.
show no.
For
Modern
your protective
athletic
gear.
gear.
Right, but
It
it's
says
under.
modern athletic gear.
It is under armor
Show
must.
no
Six,
signs
six.
of.
Go look at 6. Armor
Yeah.
must.
I did.
Armor
Yeah.
must
Show
do
no
these
signs
things.
of
Armor,
modern materials or manufacturing.
my armor won't show.
Yeah, yeah.
But my
Under your armor will show.
Yeah. I mean, if not, I'm just
No,
gonna. If not,
you're
I'm just
violating
gonna,
the spirit of the
then
rule.
I'm just gonna come out bare ass. I'm coming out bare ass next
That's
time.
historical.
Um,
You're violating this. You're knowingly violating the spirit of the rule. So I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say that's an obvious evasion.
So if you have like goggles, right? Like if you wear sports goggles, are those out? If you
Yeah.
have like, can your padding in your helmet not show? If you take your helmet off and you have one of those squids, can that not show? Can you not have a brace that shows through your armor in any way, shape, or form? This, I say, is a bad rule because it limits protective equipment. That's my.
I would need to see.
my take.
Like whether or not there's a bad translation of this. If they're supposed to like specifically what they're targeting. But the next rule you're gonna rage. This is a big change.
I'm so mad.
This is a big change. This is the 50 to 30 change.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very huge change.
We
This
lost
is
20 years.
This is so rough.
It almost cut it in half.
This is so rough.
A full kit must be comprised of the elements of the same region within a 30-year time period. Also, what is a region? Do you know what a region is?
Which
There?
region? Yeah, I do.
Do you know what makes
Yeah,
it
I
a
do.
region?
Yeah, I do.
Is
So
Europe a
in
region? Because Europe sounds like
No.
a region to me.
No, Europe's not a region. So depending on which country you're looking at, like for example, England, at the beginning of the Middle Ages, like in the middle of the Middle Ages, like right around the beginning of the High Middle Ages, there are a bunch of separate regions that were all identified by distinct language dialects, right? So it's like there were the people of Kent spoke Kentish, right? And it's like a different dialect of English. And, there were 6 or 7 different dialects of English. So I imagine that they're saying like, this is your region, your kit should correspond to finds in this region within this particular time period. Within the country, that's generally how you would, it's very hard. It's very, very, very hard.
If that's what they mean by region, that's ridiculous. Also, Mikey points out TI is banned again under the modern materials and manufacturing techniques rule.
I know, right?
Banned twice.
So banned.
Important. 30 years are defined by decade. For example, 1360 to 13.
I didn't know that's how you define a 30-year period.
I think what this is trying to say, which they fucked up, is like if you had something.
1353 to 1383. Ha ha.
Yeah, like you don't get
Gotcha.
to use 1383.
Yeah,
Like
I gotcha.
it has to stop at 1380. I think that's what they're trying to
Oof.
say, but like that's not what this actually says. Also, that's
Oof.
rough. That makes it rougher than just a 30-year period. Um, stylized element is permitted if. See this right here, 7.11. That's all that we should need. That's
I
all we
just saw
should need.
something. Jump all the way to the end. Go to point 12 right now. Right now. All the way to the end. Just do it.
Why is
Just do
this
it.
not the
Just do it. Just
fucking
do it.
top? I'm here. I'm here.
Oh,
Why is this
bro.
not the fucking top?
Oh my God, bro.
Why
Okay.
is this not the
This
fucking top?
this is something we should look at immediately.
Yeah. All right.
Historically plausible / authentic. Material or an item modeled after a primary source. Historically plausible materials and elements of the equipment approved for use by the HMB Authenticity Committee can be found on the website. Oh my God.
Go pull it up. I
I'm
don't know that I
looking.
can go there. I'm gonna try. They probably won't let me go.
Oh my God, why isn't if this is referring to another document and it like immediately invalidates everything we were saying?
Yeah, I'll admit it. I'll admit it.
That's bad rules though.
It's shitty rules, but like also we'll be like, at least you guys
Technical
fucking like had the thing.
general data and protection regulations. Is it this?
All right.
Hold
While
on.
he does this,
Okay,
stylization
no.
is an item without historical prototype, albeit constructed in the overall style of the kit with the aesthetic functions and features. Without a historical. So if it's stylization, it means it can look like it. It just doesn't, albeit constructed the overall style of the kit with its no and functional features. So it has to. So Ritosh would still need the hinge. So I don't know what they're saying there. A primary source is textual or visual evidence. For example, images, paintings, illuminations, statues, and other documented sources, and their combinations establish the authenticity of an item. A primary source is mandated for less known or new items with the HMB community. A decision on the historical accuracy of the item can be made only based on primary sources. The rolling of helms is a treatment mechanically increasing the thickness of the helm. I don't know why that's in there. The striking edge of a weapon is the edge touching the opponent at the moment of the strike. Okay, that's pretty obvious. Ukrainian helms should be legal then. You're right. They should be legal. Bad rules is nothing new from AC HMB. Oh, true though. I'm going back up to the helmet thing. I want to find out
I'm
if
I'm trying to find something that says what kind of materials you can use. And I'm finding like I'm looking at the individual this is very not easy.
yeah. I think they were lying when they said that you could find that.
Because I'm looking and it doesn't give me like what materials are allowed. Maybe I'm just looking in the wrong place. I'm looking at like the individual documents for maybe it's armor and weapon surface, perhaps, where they should like, why don't they give you a list? Like, come on, man, why don't you give me a list of what materials specifically are allowed?
You know what list I want? I want this list right here, 7.11. Authenticity committees have approved of its use. I want this list. I want the stylized elements that they have approved for use. And that's
I
it.
would like that.
That's
I
it.
would like that. That
That's
would be
it.
cool.
That's the list. You can't do anything that's not on this list.
It's like I'm tired now.
Dude, we're not even halfway through. Come on, we can get through.
Bro,
We can do
bro.
this.
No, it's exhausting because it's like the amount and I'm like a research guy and I'm like I can't imagine people who aren't research people doing this. It's like it's getting to a point where it's like is it easier now? Is it harder now?
It's harder.
I can't tell.
It's harder. It's harder.
I'm being sincere. Like I can't tell. Like how is somebody supposed to get into this and be assured that they're going down the right path? How is a veteran supposed to be assured that we're going
Well,
down the right path?
this is remember when you keep saying how you before this came out, you kept saying we have to make sure that people when they get in, they get kits that can match. And this is why I've never cared for that because every time I've thought I understood AC, something came out and it meant I didn't. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to stop paying attention because when I go decide to go to the tournament, I'm going to look at the rules for that day and I'm going to make a kit for that day. Like that's how I've always thought you had to do it. Like
I
you
mean,
have to
you may be
change your
convincing me.
you have to change your kit every
You may be
year.
convi-
You have
you
to
may
change your
you
kit every year.
That's
Um,
bad.
it is.
It's
All right,
bad. It's
let's
not good.
finish.
Like,
Let's power through. We're gonna power through, man. All right, so
I have no problem with powering through.
You're
I'm
mad.
just trying
You're
to
sad.
imagine.
You're
No,
sad.
no, I'm just so okay. So the whole purpose of my content, right, is to try to bridge the North America, Europe, Russia gap, right, in some way, because I think that there's a lot of cool shit that they're doing in terms of
Yes.
developing the sport as a martial art and like advancing the sport as a spectator thing and like creating, leagues and stuff. I think they're really successful in a lot of what they do. And I look at this and I'm like, it's like there's so much that's a step forward here, but
I
it's
mean,
like
well, let's go over that,
every time
right?
I take a step forward, take a step forward, there's a stumbling block,
Yeah.
and I don't like that. I like you made a point in one of our first streams ever, right? A very like libertarian point, which is that I don't like any rules that are like unnecessary, which is a very good point. Like any rule that it's like it serves to create more complications or to raise more questions than it solves is a bad rule, or a rule that exists like without a purpose, or a specifically well-defined purpose is a bad rule. And I think about that a lot when I look at rules because it's a very good point. And I wonder to what extent some of these rules are important. And I'm not talking about the equipment specification rules. I'm down with those because you're creating balance and you're telling me like how my shit has to be built. Like I'm not going to bitch too much about that. It's just how my shit has to be. Fine. Okay. I'm cool with all of that. But it's like your heraldry has to like be consistent with your kit and your region and your period. Like who's that for? Who's like you can like we can want like we'll naturally want to make shit that looks kind of medieval if you're wearing medieval stuff, right? So it's like to you're not even giving me a guide. You're not even saying here's our official heraldry guide. Here's our official sources. Like you're not giving me the tools. You're telling me what I got to do, but what I got to do is so nebulous and I don't even know where to start because I'm not like a professional reenactor researcher. So they're telling me through this document that that's what I want to do. That's what I should want to do. But I don't want to do that. I want to do the sport. I want to fight people. So it's like I see where you're coming from now with regards to your argument that it can be there's too much. I definitely think there's too much. It's too hardcore. Um, do I think that we should have none?
No.
No. There has to be a bar. This is only confirming that there has to be some standard, but there's just too much. Like a 30-year period in my particular region with my heraldry
I
matching, my
mean,
weapons matching.
you
Like what do I have
so
to fucking cut my
here,
hair in a medieval style now?
here's a thing that you asked about. What happens if we do a tournament with no AC rules? And we've done a natural experiment on that because ACS has no AC rules, and the ACL kind of had AC rules, but they always said we're not going to follow them.
If you get
So
everybody
like
in running shoes, it's not super hot.
so one of the things that happens is that people wear modern shoes. That's the main big change is that you see is that people start wearing modern shoes.
I'd be okay if you required black shoes with black laces.
Aesthetics are we can
My problem
definitely
is the neon blue or neon like green shoes. I'm just like I can't stop looking at this dude's feet now.
it looks so out of place. My favorite is that in the Night Fight trailer, one of their like biggest fucking moments is like a close up on Carl's Greaves and his fucking Nike shoes. It's like,
Mm,
bro, that's like the thing that like it's the first thing you learn to look for when you start getting into like kind of like looking at good kits. Is you're like, did they get the footwear right? That's kind of the thing where you're like, this guy's kind of serious. It's the
well, I
first
mean,
thing.
accessories. The thing about medieval anything is it's all about the right accessories. That's what makes you look good. It's the right. It's not your whole. It's not your whole garb. It's not your whole kit. It's like your belt. Do you have the belt? If you have the right belt, you're pimp as fuck, right?
Exactly.
It's like do you have if you have medieval shoes that are like historical or like like at least in some form of if you're not wearing gaiters, You know what I mean? If you're wearing like shoes, you're like, oh fuck, this dude's serious. Like, bro, his hat, man.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and
Like, if you have
that's
like a sick hat, a landish
yeah.
necked hat, like, fuck, bro.
Mm. So
Like,
yeah, that but like I would like to see what would happen if so the we did the experiment, right? And like we lose people wearing the right shoes, which we can make. I think you can make that a performance rule, and I think you should have to be flat bottom soled. Have to be, and you know what? People will not show up in Nikes because you can't get Nikes with that type of sole.
black, just all black with no logos and black laces, and
I
I'm
don't.
cool. You can
So
wear running shoes. I'm cool
you,
with that. Just like,
yeah, but
because at least it's not gonna immediately make me be like, this guy's wearing fucking neon purple shits.
I mean, you'll see it pretty quickly, and like also that I want it from a performance standpoint. Like I like rules that put us all in a similar playing field, and like
So,
so.
do
But
you
here's
like the medieval thing? Do you like medieval? Or do you
mm,
like just to like set us up here, because like I'm a huge medieval fan. Like I educated myself in medieval history and literature
yeah,
and classics and theology and shit, because I was like super into that shit. I wanted to
yeah,
be a professor of Middle English literature. That was my initial career objective. And
yeah.
then, I studied English in Quebec and now I'm a technician. But yeah, it's just how the cookie crumbles. But like, do you like the medieval? Like, I like medieval stuff because I think it's fucking cool as fuck. Like, do
I
you like medieval stuff?
I like it. I like it. It's
Like
not.
enough for it to be the thing you dress up as for the sport, or is like, if you could just like wear anything and do the sport, would you?
Yeah, like I would wear anything. Like
Yeah, okay,
I
I
would
get
show
it.
up. I would show up in Master Chief armor if someone could make Master Chief armor.
Right, right,
Like I'm not, and that's the thing. Like I
right,
would
right, right.
probably
I get it. I get it.
I would wear orc armor. Like I probably won't because
The
it
purity,
sucks.
the purity of the combat
Means
sport and like the allure
yeah,
of the sport itself is more interesting to you than any of the
right.
shit around
So
it.
so
Does that
you
include
like
weapons too? Like you would use sticks, you would use fucking
yeah.
whatever
I
to
mean,
fight.
like, yeah,
I
I'd
mean,
use
that's
whatever's
pure.
the
That's
most, whatever the
that's
most
wicked.
effective. So
That's
like,
wicked.
you talked about like you got into like you studied medieval history and all that. Like I broke up with a girlfriend and wandered to an SCA event because like I didn't have a D&D group and I wanted some sort of like fight thing in my life. That's
Nice.
that's how I found this. And like then I saw dudes fighting and like they were really fighting and they're really fucking swinging those things. It's not the LARPs that I'd seen as a little kid, right? These dudes are going
Yeah.
ham. Which
Yeah.
later I learned there are LARPs that also aren't the LARPs I saw when I was a little kid.
For
Like there are LARPs
for
where dudes go fucking ham. But the
oh
point
yeah,
is
man.
the point is I that's and then from there I learned an appreciation of history, right? Like I didn't like history at all when I came in. I didn't care about the Middle Ages. I don't like knights. I didn't like knights as then. I don't like them now. I think armor's dumb. Like
Hmm.
I don't like the aesthetic of armor. I think armor looks garbage.
Rough. I think armor looks dope as fuck. You look like an angry psycho robot killer.
Nah, man.
I love
I
that shit.
mean,
I love robots.
robots are dope. I like.
Yo, you look like a psycho robot.
There's some armor that's cool. Like English
Wolfribs ruined
fucking
the robot.
wolf ribs
That's what I
look
don't like.
wolf ribs
They
look
they
like
are
garbage.
so
I
they're
think
so bad. They're so bad.
I think most Britashes look like garbage too, and I
I
wore that
really
too.
like I really like the Romance of Alexander, but everybody has it now, and now it's not cool anymore to me.
Gotta have a
Like,
hipster.
bro, I like. There are some helmets that I think are so dope that I would never wear. Like most
Yo,
faceplate helmets, I would just never wear.
Mikey, you
Just
gotta
sound like,
make me that Urukai gear.
do
Ti
it, dude.
Urukai
Do it.
gear. We're gonna
Do it,
make AC LARP.
bro.
Fantasy ACS. It's coming.
Ah,
All right.
bro.
All right. I want to finish this. I want to do it.
All right, let's do it. Let's push.
Information. All right. So 7.11 is a shitty rule because we don't know what this list is. But if this list exists and get published, that changes so much. So like, get on that HMB, who I know you're not watching.
Definitely not watching.
It is enhancing a protective function of the kit. This is stylized elements are permitted if it's enhancing a
What?
protective function of the kit during HMB tournament. So wait,
That doesn't
shouldn't
make
extra
sense.
Shouldn't extra eye bars count? All right, let's go look at stylized
It's
again.
not a style. An extra eye bar isn't a stylized element, though.
Wait, no. Stylization is an item without historical prototype, albeit constructed in the overall style of the kit with the aesthetic and functional features. So it didn't exist in period, but it kind of looks like it, and it has similar features and similar look.
They're probably
Wait,
going to be a specific rule about eye
wait.
bars.
It is enhancing a stylized element if it's enhancing a protective function of the kit. This tells me I can have extra eye bars in my goddamn kit, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
fight.
until you get to the point where it's going to specifically mention eye bars.
All right, let's get to that point then. Information about the material culture of the relevant period and region is insufficient. Stylized element is period if. Oh, so if we don't know about the culture, you can come up with your own stylization? That might.
In rare cases, when information on the material culture of the region or and period is insufficient, it is possible to replace missing elements of the protective equipment with the analogs of the adjacent regions and or periods, provided the kit looks proportionally correct and aesthetically pleasant. The replacement must be approved by the HMB Authenticity Committee. Eastern Armor Pants.
Yeah, this is but this like
Eastern Armor Pants.
This shuts down my HMB is racist, but AC is racist idea, right?
I told you AC wasn't racist.
You're right. They shut it down. I can wear my Indian kit now, though. I'm gonna go. All right. When the historically accurate suit of armor fails to comply with their stylized element is permitted, the historically
Eastern Armor.
Accurate suit of armor fails to comply with the requirements of this document. A fighter may use an additional layer of concealed protection worn under a soft kit. Wait, does this mean that you can't wear an additional layer if it? This sounds like it's preventing you from wearing extra layers of
accurate suit of armor fails to comply with the requirements of this document. A fighter must use additional layers of concealed.
Must.
Western armor legs. Western armor legs on Eastern armor fighters with pants.
Yep. That's
modern
wild.
Protective elements with an independent fastening system are permitted as a third layer of protection and must be concealed at all times.
Fuck.
Pads like soccer pads or shin pads.
I don't like that. I don't like
all
that.
Additional modern protective elements must remain concealed at all times in all body positions. Fair enough.
You're
fair enough.
Your brace should be able to show. Your brace should be able to show. Your cup should be
under
able
your
to show.
Gambeson. Be under your Gambeson.
What if I'm not wearing a Gambeson? What if I don't want to wear?
Why are you not wearing a Gambeson?
Because
it's your second layer. Second layer is required.
It's extra heat, extra power. It's not required.
You're required. Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. Where? We haven't seen that. We haven't seen that.
Pretty sure.
We haven't seen that.
I'm pretty sure that constitutes your second layer.
I don't think you have to have a second layer.
But then you can't have a showing third layer.
Yeah, why not?
So you can just wear a tunic, you mean?
Why not?
Okay.
What people think robots look like versus what robots actually look like. I don't know shit about the culture, so I'm going Uruk-hai. Exactly. The head of a fighter must be protected with a metal helmet. Its protective features should be the equivalent of those of a 2-point.
But metal
why equivalent?
Here doesn't mean titanium, right? You can't have a titanium helmet.
I think you're allowed to. I thought you were allowed to, just no one does it because it's terrible.
Wow, that's a good rule. For example, ST3 is by GOST. I don't know what the fuck that means. Or grade A in the USA. That's good. Precision.
It's good precision, but I wish they gave more. It needs to be 2.5 the construction of grade, but I want that equivalence table. I'm not in the same way. I'm not a history major. I'm not a fucking materials major. I can't fucking do that. I'm not gonna know.
I'm not a blacksmith either.
Yeah,
I've had to learn quite a bit about blacksmithing to be able to understand what they're talking about when I try to order armor. You know, when they're like, "Oh, my piece is hardened to HRC 30." Now I understand what that shit means, or HRC 40, right? I understand what that shit means, but it's like, oh my god, it's like, yeah. So I'd like to buy some 1 millimeter, HRC 40 hardened 4130 greaves. It's like you're speaking in fucking robot code.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I guess TI is banned in all leagues for helmets. I was wrong. Important, a helmet is identified as open face if it is possible to fit a bare fist between the brim of the helmet and the neck protective piece, while a fighter may... Oh, hey, the fucking bevers are banned now.
That's good. Thank God.
That is good.
Oh my god,
I
I never
love
want to fight somebody with that.
I love watching those old ones where the guy's just ducking to protect his face. So
Wow.
fucking crazy. Helmet must have a quilted or padded coif inside, or a leather suspension system with a quilted coif. The minimum thickness of the coif is 3 millimeters for quilted and 5 millimeters for padded, while compressed. All right. Um, is there anything about?
How do they test that?
Yeah.
Are
Also,
they gonna like make you take off your helmet and check the thickness of the padding of your liner? Like,
there's nothing about concussion padding which like that bothers me, unless they're gonna put it somewhere else. But like, I don't know.
a
Like
chin, a chin strap must secure the helmet to the head. If the construction of the helmet excludes the use of a chin strap, the helmet must be secured on the head by other means. I guess that refers to the
the
like
the
the
ones that
yeah
like strap like a
yeah yeah
snap on or whatever.
like
Helmet may be
the diving bell helm, the great
yeah
helm
yeah.
with the fuck. I love that helmet. I think it's so gangster.
It's
It's so gay. You look like a fucking Bioshock
you do
Big Daddy or whatever.
yeah.
It's so cool. It's
You
so
should
cool.
get
I am
to
Aquaman.
because of that. You should get to use a
Fight with a
drill
trident.
helmet.
Yeah, fight
You
with a
should.
trident.
A helmet may be
Uh,
secured to the backplate of the body protective element with an additional strap for enhanced protective properties. It's good.
nice. Simon strap.
Yeah. It is permitted to install additional bars to the eye slits of helmet if the construction is approved by the AC.
Just specify one
Oh.
bar because we know that 2 bars is going to be banned. Just specify 1 bar. We know. We know, but noobs don't know. So they'll be
Yeah.
like, sick, and then they'll send their picture and have to start grinding shit off the inside of their helmet or some shit.
It's so terrible. It's so terrible. The
See
helmet
that
model.
that I don't like because that's some favoritism shit right there. I know you, I pass you.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't like that.
Me too. Like, tell us what is approved and what isn't approved, and then tell us like also there's nothing in here that tells the contact for the approval process. Like, give us the approval process in this document. If a helmet is modeled after a historical artifact, it's not sufficiently protective. It is encouraged to use additional rigid protective constructions made of metal bars or plates if they are concealed under a chainmail or text avondale. I don't understand why this is okay and this isn't. Like why is
why are
this
you allowed
allowed
to use
but why are eye bars not allowed? Like the
then
protections
here
we
for
have.
these cases you have to refer to their documents for the specific type of helmet you want so that you can see what they're talking about. So you
But
got to
like
fucking have all of your shit open and have a giant fucking table with all of your shit so you can like take your helmet off and then you can like look at this reference and then check the rules and then take out your caliper and then measure the thickness of this and then like unsew all of your padding and make sure that it's 3 to 5 millimeters and then sew it all back in, you know, like put your nuts on the table and hit it with an axe. Like, Jesus. Man, I'm
important.
looking at this and I'm like, it is so it's oppressive. It's oppressive.
I can see you feel like you're
It's like
your
fighting.
energy.
It's like you go
Your
to your first
energy has
BJJ
been.
practice. It's like you're going to your first BJJ practice and you fight against like a blue belt because there none of the white belts are available, and he just fucking destroys you,
Yeah, and it's like it's one who just like is like I gotta put you in your place. I gotta let you know.
bro. Oh my god. It's like I'm down. I'm down, but it's like at some point it's like this is all on the fighter. That's so brutal. It's brutal.
uh,
It's
they're
brutal.
they're saying the all modern protective elements must be remain concealed again. All right. I mean they're serious about that, I guess.
Makes sense.
And it
An
doesn't,
addition-
but
an additional plate can be used on the top of chainmail elements of the helmet. Its shape must be historically proven. Heater shield shapes are permitted. Alternatively, an additional padded collar with plates sewn under or the inside of the collar is permitted. Chill to
I don't.
prevent people chopping your back of the neck off. It's the little like shield on the back of your shit.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm fine with that.
that's good. No, that's good.
The
That's
body and limbs of the fighter must be protected at least with plates of metal.
there goes my.
Chainmail elements can be used as supplementary protection or as an articulation of plate elements, probably for Eastern armors. A fighter's equipment includes an under armor layer protecting the torso. It should consist of at least a layer of felted wool quilted with linen fabric. There you go.
No, guess it is
Vertebrae of
required.
the neck and upper back must be protected with a metal plate with padded or quilted layer as a separate collar, additional layer of the aventail. Riveted chainmail can cover the element and its padding. All right.
That's good.
Spine, including the tailbone, must be protected by plate elements of the armor with a layer of padded or quilted protection. The thickness of the layer must be over 3 millimeter for quilted and 5 millimeter compressed for padded elements. Ooh,
So
I think
yeah,
that bans Gambesson.
I was gonna say, are they gonna start checking gambesons?
My Gambesson's like 1 millimeter.
Yeah, I like
My
this
Gambesson's
is
super thin.
this is thick and thicker than most people's gambesons, I think.
My Gambesson is like fucking super thin. I roll with a very thin Gambesson. Why would I roll with a thicker Gambesson? That's crazy.
I mean, it's nice to not get hurt, but you know,
Yeah, but I
it's
wear third layer protection.
oh,
Texas
Texas
Gambesson is
gambeson.
illegal.
They wear fucking geese. They wear geese.
What?
They use geese as gambesons.
Okay.
That's banned.
Por qué?
Why do they use geese? Because they're light and they don't eat.
Easier to purchase too.
Yeah,
You don't
and
have to wait fucking a year to
I
get
mean,
your
the
Gambesson.
geese are kind of like. Isn't that basically a Japanese army coat?
Maybe.
Like, I think that's what they wore
I'm
under
not a
their
pro.
armor. I think it's what they wore under their
I'm not
armor.
I'm not a pro on
Yeah,
authentic Japanese armor.
It is recommended to use modern protective elements, for example, cycling, snowboard, and other spine
Yeah.
protectors. So this is what I hate.
There
If
you
we're
go.
recommending modern protective elements, why are we hiding them? Like, if they're that important that we're recommending them, just fucking wear them. Just wear them out in the open. It's cool. Let's be about it. Like, if we think it's necessary, hiding it seems like
Because it clashes with the aesthetic and the overall mission statement. They're saying be safe, use stuff that keeps you safe, but use it as your third layer.
Name
And your third
another
layer is
sport.
under your second layer.
Name another sport where they require you to do a thing, where they require you to use, or they recommend you use a type of equipment and then require you to hide it.
Fencing?
What are you required to hide?
Don't you wear? Well, I mean, don't you wear your fencing jack and the point counting stuff over everything? So like you have to hide your shit under it. Maybe I'm wrong.
That's a different thing though. That's saying right. So like, there's no requirement saying your cup can't show in MMA that I know of. Like I've never read a boxing rules or something and said your cup can't show. It just says
Fair
you
enough.
have to wear trunks. That's
Speaking of which, the crotch area must be protected by elements of the kit or modern protective elements hidden under elements of soft kit at all times. Your junk always has to be protected.
I mean,
Fucking Argentina needs to learn that shit, let me tell you. Protect your junk at all times. Jesus.
gauntlet or plate minutes must protect hands. Good. Chainmail can be used only as supplementary element. Good. Protection of hands holding a shield with metal plates means that a fighter. So far,
you can't roll without protection on your shield arm.
yeah, I was gonna
Cool.
say so far we can't. The people have to put their bracer back on their shield arm.
Awesome.
That means a fighter can continue fighting after a shield loss. Alternatively, shield arm must be protected by elements of the soft skin quilt emitted from all sides. Oh, soft protection for a hand must consist. Oh, maybe this isn't. I now no longer know what this is saying. I don't know.
That's the shield glove.
Okay.
You know how you can have like a shield mitten?
Yeah.
That's the rules for the shield mitten. A shield
Protection of
hand
the
must be
hand holding-
protected. Yeah, you have to have at least a mitten. You can't just be bare hand.
But I don't know if like this is the first sentence is saying you need a gauntlet, and then the second saying is saying except maybe you don't. What the fuck?
Yeah, it says except maybe you don't.
Plate elements must protect elbows and knees.
That's awful. That's awful.
Why?
That rule, the 10.1, the way
Oh,
it's explained is awful.
10.1
Yeah.
is a terrible rule. I literally
That's
don't
rough.
know. And like I
Dude.
don't know I now don't know about the shield the bracer either. This makes me question the bracer.
Question not the path of the bracer, young one.
Also, this is talking about 10 says gauntlets and placements must protect hands, blah blah blah. Why is 10.2 talking about elbows and knees? I'm just lost at this point in the document. At this point, I'm just
And
lost.
then it's 10.3 is cuisses and greaves. And then 10.4 is metal sabatons. And then 10.5 is boots. Modern boots are prohibited, especially if outsoles have deep lugs. Yeah, you gotta ban that.
They're especially prohibited. Extra
Flat
banned.
rubber sole shoes are permitted to replace historical shoes. What does that mean?
Yeah. I don't know. Modern outsoles with deep lugs. First off, I don't. What are outsoles?
You know how some
the
people
sole-
have crampons? Crampons are like fucking like patterns in the shoe that will give you
Yeah.
grip, like cleats or like the
Yeah.
fucking the bumps that give you
Yeah.
more grip.
Yeah. That's what they're saying is prohibited,
Oh no,
right?
11. No, not 11.
Chapter codes must be historically plausible
No.
in colors and construction, match the
No.
suit of armor in the time period. Modern
No.
derogatory image. It is advised the coat of arms follow heraldic rules.
No. The coat of arms follows heraldic rules in shapes and color use. No. Why?
Because you can't look like shit, bro. I thought we can bands are back, baby. Bands are
Does
back
that
in.
mean do we have to use royal purple? Is purple banned?
I hope so.
Purple might be banned.
I hope so.
The color purple is banned because
Yeah.
royal purple was not purple like we have it today.
Yeah.
Royal purple was like a maroon burgundy color, and it was like one of the hardest colors for them to produce. Like modern day purple is like very not historical.
Perfect. Ban it.
So I'm like, oh my god, like it's purple, but like the monarchs, your tabard is
We're
banned.
banned. We're banned. We're out. The Monarchs are out.
Your purple tabard's banned.
All right. This is 2
That's fucking
hours.
crazy. I can't believe it. I can't
This thing
believe
took
it.
forever. This
I
is
cannot
ridiculous.
believe it. I can't believe it. There's some of this that I think is really good. I think the technical precisions are really good, but I
Some
think
of it.
the fact that it requires us to have all of the documents open at once to be able to constantly cross-reference everything is like it's crazy.
It's
It's
yeah.
crazy. There has to be like I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it.
I want to do like open like BHL opens where you don't have to do that. You just have to like look not terrible.
Yeah. Or
That's rough. That's too
or-
rough for me.
yeah, it's very rough. It's bad. It's bad. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it's bad. Um.
I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna agree with you that it's excessive to a
Yeah.
destructive degree.
Do you wanna shit on IMCF rules next time though?
What rules?
Like the actual rules. Like they're fight rules.
They have rules.
I was told.
All right, I'm down.
I don't know. Like I don't know if this is useful to the chat. Chat, was this useful? Anyone get anything out of this besides that HMB sucks? Did we clear anything up? I learned things? Did anyone else learn things?
I learned a bunch of shit. My whole worldview is different now. I
Like,
think I'm gonna go contemplate existence.
it's a good idea. Like that's my
Yeah.
thing is I haven't sat down and done a deep read of the rules in forever, so I feel like this is a good thing to do.
Well, this is not even all of the rules. This is just part of the rules.
This is just the
Like, we
this
haven't
is the
talked.
AC.
Yeah, there's like general rules, and then there's like the rules per category and like authorized techniques per category and shit. Like there's like a lot of
Oh yeah.
ruling discussion breakdown that we could do in order to try to identify the best way to like cheat all of the systems and stuff for sure.
I think it's
But
a good
like,
idea. I think we should do that.
but it's there's
Yeah, this one started to hurt.
oof. I was like ready to tap at a couple points there.
Yo,
I was like this, and he's like cranking me, and I'm all like hovering there. You know, there were some points.
to turn it over and roll out.
There's some points that's.
It was bad. It was bad. It started. Yeah, Mikey, it wasn't all bad.
It's not all bad.
Fair.
You gotta be.
Be
You
fair.
gotta be, yeah. You gotta be real about it. That if there's some standardization that's important, and they're taking steps to define their terms, which is something we bitch about all the time. So there's a lot more terms that are defined here, and like we're allowed to have questions, and we're allowed to point at inconsistencies in translation. I think, like in all seriousness, that's legit. I feel like that there's some overreach. I feel like it's hard. It's hard
huge.
now.
This is
The requiring academic sources is like fucking rough on a fighter.
So this
That's rough.
this is almost to the point of the hyperbole that I talk about of how bad it is. It's not quite there because you do have sources that you can go to and ask about, but like also
But
again,
they don't provide them. Give me sources.
well, I
me,
mean, what I mean is there are people as sources. So you like I can go to Larry and be like, hey, like help me out. But like that, I have to know that that's a dude that I can go to, right? Like even like that, like if you have to know the dude, you have to know how to do your own historical research. There's so many steps to like even get the easiest way in. And this bans. I bet this bans kits. I bet a bunch of people have to go redo their kits now.
For sure. My kit
And
is probably pretty broad in 14th century overall, especially with my new legs that are coming. And like, I'm pretty sure I did below the 14th century with my Wisby gauntlet and stuff. Like, I'm not passing this for sure. I can't.
no.
With the equipment I have, I am incapable of passing it.
But here's what pisses me off too. It's like this is the rules as written. Every time I've talked to people who went to Boston, they got in not passing the rules as written. Every time I've talked to people from the American team,
One of the guys on Scalagrim,
people.
one of the guys on Scalagrim was at Dynamo, like at the last Dynamo or the one before that, and he had his wolf rib, brand new wolf rib with his cloth Pellerin, and his cloth Pellerin had no heraldry on it, so they made him draw heraldry on it with a Sharpie, or else they wouldn't let him into the list.
Cause that looks better. Cause that looks better. Oh my god. So this is, it's just, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's too much for me.
Honestly,
Honestly, like I think it's cool, but like I'm not a reenactment guy. Like I said, like my goal, my personal interest is fighting. I like the medieval thing. I think it's cooler than like the LARP setting where people do whatever the fuck they want and all look
Right.
terrible with leather armor and stuff. Like I really don't want that in our sport, you know. So I like the consistency. I like that there's an appreciation for history. I like that there's like a reconstruction-y angle, right? Like we're trying in some kind of a way to like do what they do, but like with modern martial arts and in like a more modern way where it's like a sport and stuff. It's like that's cool to me. So I'm down with there being like a level of shit that has to make sense. And I'm down with banning stuff that looks like stupid as fuck. You know, like so I'm anti Space Marine shoulders because it looks stupid, right? So it's like if it looks stupid, I'm down with banning it. If it's like it's not necessary, like I'm not down with banning, you know, cloth Pellerin on a Britash. Like who cares? Like to me that's a who cares. So that's kind of where that's where I stand.
All right. I stand.
Why Mikey, which Eastern kit hurt you? That's what I want to know. Who hurt you? Did you get like crushed by some dude in an Eastern kit one day? You know, and it was like early on and you were starting Boo Hurt and you felt you wanted an Eastern kit or something, and then you saw like your favorite fighter just get wrecked and you're like, oh, his armor's trash, he's trash, I'm trash, Western for the win. Like what who hurt you? Who hurt you? That's what I want to know. So much hate in your heart. Free your mind.
Dude, Mikey's all
Dustin Goodall. Bro, Dustin.
All right.
Shout out to Dustin.
All right, we're ending on this note. All right, peace out. Thanks for watching.
Peace out,
This is
everybody.
good stuff. Nope, that's the wrong button.